Welcome to Chronic Curiosity, where we have real conversations with real people, from everything to anything, in attempts to facilitate dialogue with our fellow humans, and hopefully your curiosity as well as ours. If you can withstand the show, we ask, most importantly, that you tell your friends and family, but also you can pick up some merch or just donate to the show at chronic-curiosity.com in USD or Bitcoin. If you feel so obliged, you can give us a good rating and follow on whatever podcast platform you so choose. But please feel free to reach out to us on the website or the socials, which can also be found on the website, chronic-curiosity.com. And here we go. So you used A? Yeah, okay, cool. You like that double oak?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. That's one of my favorites. You can usually find it. Obviously not this one, but you know.
Yeah, was that a store pick or what is that?
That's great.
Yeah. Super fine wine and liquor.
Yeah, I hate to give you the end because sometimes the end doesn't quite taste as good as the rest. But I was like, when you said that, I was like, ooh, I got to dig up a store pick. So which one?
Yeah. Where's the super fine wine? Where's this one out of?
Oh, I think Michigan.
Is it Michigan?
Yeah, I had one from Mr. Whiskers. I couldn't remember if that was the store pick or.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Where'd you get this? The Woodies.
Oh, that one was from Michigan.
Novi Party Store. Yeah, this one's about done. So I was like, you know what? Let's get into the bottom. I'll have to polish this one off. This is my favorite.
Yeah.
My brand is the Woodinville ones that I like to trend, but
yeah, I've had most of those. I did a whiskey, like a bourbon tasting at Meatheads, and they had maybe it's like cask strength or something there. I think I don't know. It was good, but I've never had any that I didn't like. So.
Yeah, I have a bunch of them. I have.
Oh yeah, you got a store pick with that one.
Yeah, this is a caramel. This is a Novi Party Store caramel bomb. I have another one from I think it's West Virginia. It's really good. I've had a couple. These are the store picks. Anytime, like I was saying to my buddy Chad, who goes around. Anytime I find if it's a new Woodinville store pick. Yeah, sign me up. At least one bottle. I'll give it a try. This one's really good.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be Matt because Matt Shanlian.
Oh, okay.
He comes to the shop and he heard me talking about Eagle Rare, and the next time he came in, he brought a bottle of Eagle Rare, and I'm like, this dude's amazing. And then we started talking, and he got it from the guy that I buy most of my cigars from at Havana House up in Bath. So I hit him up. I'm like, dude, I didn't know. He's like, anything you want, I can get it.
Is that Maddie?
Maddie Cupcakes. Yep. I love that dude.
I got a couple of sweet bottles off Maddie as a trade for tree work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some older Willet bottles.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maddie's one of the best guys. I love that guy. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, Shane, he's into the seems like he's into the rarities. All the
he started getting me into shoes.
I was gonna say I was just about to say whether it be shoes.
I know.
Same with bourbon, same with guns, same with cigars.
I know. I'm into all the same stuff. That's why I told him I'm not into golf yet because I know how I get.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
same with smoking meat.
Yep, I'm same with that. Yeah, I do all the same stuff.
Well, it's taking something that's already good and finding out how to make it even better.
Right.
It's
right.
Now this is worth doing. This is worth spending time on same thing I've said it 1,000 times with the bourbon. I've poured a bunch of bourbon down my throat the years knowing Tony. A bunch of really good bourbon that I didn't realize how good it was until I found something that I was able to put a benchmark on. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, benchmark is pretty good for the price. But it was until I realized okay, this is what I like, and this is kind of why I like it.
Right.
Now you're able to compare and contrast
exactly.
and follow the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it kind of took a while. Same with me. It took a while to kind of narrow things down. I'm like, okay, I like this more than that. And I don't really like this that much, and just one of those things.
Yeah, you're right though. I opened this Angels Emblem. I won from the Father's Commitment with Kirk and Casey. This is delicious. I know. It's sweet. It's almost too sweet.
Yeah,
it is. It's like brown sugar in a bottle.
Rum casks.
You gotta try that.
My wife, who does not like any whiskey or bourbon,
delicious.
She was like, "This is good."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No mixing cocktails with this one, okay, babe?
Me too.
You know what? Because this is what is it? It's oh, okay. It's 100 proof. So that's okay. Yeah, it's not super spicy. It's very brown, sugary, and caramel. What's that rum cast? So the Caribbean rum cast.
Do you want to introduce Max?
Well, yeah, Max.
Kinda
Well, you know, you're gonna. They're
over
gonna
that.
yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because like people have to click on their name to listen to the show.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Max Woods, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate me.
I've always loved like you have like the greatest nickname that like around when people talk about you, it's like it's Max the Barber.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like some kind of like apocalyptic like
Right.
you gotta go talk to Max the Barber.
Gangs in New York.
Yeah, like
Phil the Butcher.
yeah, it's
Right,
like it's
right,
just Max the Barber. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, is he an actual barber or is he like, you know,
Just
gonna
like the nickname.
yeah, is he gonna you know, cut me short of my head? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you are a local bar. What did I guess we'll just do this. Asking the question as always.
Yeah.
How did you become a barber? Like what got you to
was
the point you're at now?
Completely random, honestly. Even though it runs in my family, my great uncle was a barber, Woods Barbershop in Shreve. I had no thought of it at all, really. And I was working for Red Bull as an account sales rep. So I was going to the barber all the time, and my barber at the time.
Oh, because you gotta look fresh.
Yeah, you got to like maintain everything, you know. So he was like, "You're like easy to talk to. You talk to people really well." He's like, "You should go be a barber." I'm like, "What does that have to do with cutting hair?" I'm like, I don't know where you're connecting. He's like, anyone can learn to cut hair. He's like, it's being able to deal with people and talk to everyone about anything. And he's like, you know, we've had some really good conversations. Like, maybe you should check it out. I was like, I'm good. You know, like I was like, I don't know. But then as time went on, the job, you know, sales gets more and more stressful. And I had a bad day one day and I called him. I'm like, dude, like, talk to me about money, basically. Like, is it going to be worth my time to go to school? Because I'm going to have to probably quit for a year, not be able to work. Because you go to school full time, it's 1,800 hours. So we talked and I was like, well, I'll go check out a school. So I went up to Cleveland, checked out a school on the east side. That's La Barberia is where I ended up going. And I liked it. The school seemed cool. I went home, talked to my wife, and I'm like, can we make this work? Like, is it going to happen or not? Because I wanted to be on my own. Like, I wanted to work for myself.
Right.
My dad and I had a business.
You didn't want to work for like Great Clips or something? Is that what you're telling me?
No. And really, when I talked to Helms, was the guy that I worked for, another local shop. He told me, if you go to school, you have a guaranteed job. I'm like, well, that's kind of hard to pass up, you know. So I went to barber school and liked it. Luckily, I was good at it for never cutting hair in my life. You know, I would like buzz my own head and stuff, but I never cut somebody else's hair. And it just kind of bloomed into what it is. I got done, worked for him for a couple years, a year and a half, 2 years, and then left to go open the shop I'm at now with Britta. And it was February of 2020 when I quit with Helms to go open.
Oh, right during the whole
right
shebang.
during the yeah. Like our goal was to open March 17th, 2020. We went open for St. Patty's Day.
Oh man.
And then everything happened. So
yeah, how'd that situation work? 'Cause that's
it was crazy. It was really crazy. We had all of our life savings basically out because we thought initially we're just gonna paint and put a new back bar in because it used to be a barbershop like 15 years prior, but it needed all redone. So we were just gonna paint and throw a back bar in, and then the whole COVID thing happened, so we weren't allowed to even work. So we're like, well, we have time. Let's just make it look how we want to look.
right.
So we redid everything. A lot of help with some really good friends of ours, and a lot of Miller High Life later, and we are where we're at. So it worked out well. It was stressful, but it worked out.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's a common thread through the whole pandemic thing, where it's like some people unfortunately got just hammered and slaughtered throughout the process. A lot of people, especially small businesses, but then some people, I feel like it's been more of a common thread than not here with business owners that we've talked to, that it was like, look, like we found a way, you know, this is hitting us hard. let's innovate. Let's do something. Let's try to figure out a way around this. And it was
Right.
like, it turned out like there's a struggle,
Yeah.
but in the long run, like it ended up working out. So like,
Yeah.
that's, that tenacity is pretty phenomenal.
It was crazy. We ended up opening, DeWine came out, I think, a week early and said on May 15th is the day that all barbershops will be open again. And we were just kind of like tying up loose ends, like just little things here and there. And I'm like, let's roll. Like, let's do what we got to do. So I contacted the owner of my school that I went to. I'm like, what's changed? Because so the barber board and the cosmetology board merged in 2018, I think. So some stuff kind of changed from when I was out of school and stuff kind of moved around. And last I knew, the barber board had to come in and inspect before you could open. And I'm like, oh God, like, I don't know how this is going to be,
Right.
And she's like, no, it's changed. She's like, you can open up and let them know. And then they come and inspect. And then if you're good, then you keep going. I was like, it doesn't kind of seems backwards, but I'm okay with it. Like obviously like this is the day we're opening now. We have a solid day.
If not, it would have been like a year later before they would have got there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's, and a lot of people are like, well, what about the health department? Like they don't do anything with us. We're all barber board.
Yeah.
Barber board, now it's barber and cosmetology board, but it's a totally different thing. So
How does I still do kind of on the side, make knives and straight razors and stuff. And I've heard a couple people have reached out, a couple barbers and stuff, like talk about like straight razors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you do any of that? And I feel like that would have to like come with additional like stipulations with like the health board because of the.
well, barbers they've changed some things. Don't quote me, but barbers, as far as I know, are the only ones allowed to use a straight razor on your face, and I think your head. I think cosmetologists now can use a razor on the back of your neck, but I'm not 100% sure. Like things kind of move in and out.
Right.
For the longest time, it was only barbers could use a straight razor. Barbers and doctors. That was it.
Did you go through any like? Did they touch on that as like through the schooling at all or anything? Because like I never even like.
Yeah, like that was like I have a straight razor tattoo because it was such an exclusive barber only thing.
Oh right.
Yeah, and yeah, we do that at the shop. We're one of the only shops in the area that still does that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do full face shaves or beard lineups, head shaves. We shave everyone's neck, unless they're like a little kid that's moving a ton.
Yeah, that's probably.
It's kind of like
Hold still,
Yeah.
learning curve.
And
Yeah.
you should see some parents like sit still, and the kid's like 9. I'm like, we're good. Like
Oh.
we have that reflex that immediately just pull
Right.
back, but yeah, we do that with everybody. It's just like an added thing, that and hot towel at the end.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, because that's a whole different like ball game there.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like people are like, "Wow, this is way better than Great Clips." I'm like, well, I would hope,
That's the idea,
that's the
right?
idea. We want to, not to be cliche, but we want to like offer an experience. It's not just a place to get your hair cut and get out of there.
Right.
So
Or at least like even remotely get your hair cut. I went with a buddy one
Right.
time. We were on we were doing storm restoration work. I did tree work,
mm-hmm.
and we were out of state, and he was like, "I need to get a haircut." And we went to like a Walmart or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He walked out of there. I'm like, "Bro, they fucked you up." I was like, he was like, "Well, it only cost me $10." I was like, "I can tell."
Yeah.
Like,
It's definitely you get what you pay for kind of
yeah.
thing. And not to talk bad about them, a lot of those are cosmetologists right out of school, and they get thrown into the fire, and you have this long to get done, and
Right.
it's
No,
a whole
yeah.
different thing. That's why it's kind of like weird to us. Like, well, yeah, we have not totally different training, but as barbers, you spend 1,800 hours from the neck up. And cosmetologists, you do nails and a lot of color and a lot of other things where we're like honed in specifically on male haircuts.
Yeah, the
But,
cutting.
yeah, the cutting, the fading, the shaving, and all that stuff. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I can see how it makes people nervous.
How long did it take you to feel comfortable, like cutting hair? Like, was it pretty immediately? Because was it like a year or two? I'm just thinking in medicine, like how long it took to feel really comfortable in that role.
Because
seeing
some people
patients.
take their hair very seriously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So weirdly enough, I was more comfortable shaving than I was cutting hair.
Yeah.
It was probably, I don't know, a few months, like in school, and then kind of once you get it, and then it's just like honing from there.
Mhm.
I would say probably like a year and a half in is when I was like anybody comes in, I can cut them. I'm not nervous at all. But the shaving thing, it was the craziest thing. It was the day that I qualified to be allowed to shave in school. Like the way my school was, you would take a written test and you do a practical, like we would shave balloons and all that stuff. My first shave that came in was a 98-year-old World War II veteran.
Oh, man.
That had like the wrinkliest skin ever, which if you know anything about shaving, you have to stretch. And I looked at my instructor that night. He was a drill instructor in the Army. He said, "You can do it." I was like, "All right, here we go." So and I did it, but I was nervous as hell.
Sure.
But after I got done with that, I was like, "Shit, I can do anything now. Yeah, I'm fine." So I've always been totally comfortable doing that. But yeah, haircutting took a while. Like I still remember my first haircut. I was so nervous that I had my clippers and I had hair on my clippers that were plugged in, and I like put them under the water to like rinse them off. I'm like, wait. And all the dudes in my school were like, "Bro, what are you doing? You don't want to do that. Just brush them off." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." Like I knew what to do, but it was just, the nerves got me so bad. But now it's not a big deal.
Yeah. How much of that is kind of like from the training and becomes a skill set versus just like pure artistic ability?
I mean, in barber school, they pretty much just teach you how to pass the test. Yeah. That's literally all it is. My school was a little better about that. Like they would kind of give you more technique, and they had like younger guys in there showing you like how to do things a different way. And because it's just like anything, there's 100 ways to cut the same head.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of figuring out where you're comfortable. And then once you kind of develop that skill, then you can get like more artistic with it. And it's more, you try like, I don't anymore, like I'll try 4 different ways of fading on the same head just because it's just something to do.
Yeah.
Just a different way of doing it.
Oh, what's like your least favorite either cut or just customers you come in and you're like, "Oh shit." You're like, "This isn't going to be good."
I don't really have any, like I would say like long hair.
Yeah.
I don't really mess with long hair.
Yeah.
Which I was trained in it briefly. I'm not familiar with it. So I don't typically, like I've turned people away before. That's the only people I've ever turned away.
Yeah.
It was actually this one guy that came in when I worked at the other shop I was at. And he came in, I cut his hair. He said, "I just want a little bit trimmed off the bottom." So that's what I did. And I get done. He's like, did you do anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I trimmed a little bit off the bottom." He's like, "This is fucking stupid." I was like, "What do you want me to do, man? Like, I don't know what else I could do." And then he ended up coming in like a year and a half later to my shop. And I'm like, I'm not cutting your hair.
Yeah.
And he's like,
doing this.
"Oh, I wasn't going to ask you. I was going to ask to see if she could." I was like, "Yeah, good, because I'm not going to. Because I don't like you." So.
Sure.
And I'm like, what else could I have done? And that was kind of my argument. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Being married to a woman for as long as I have, every single time she goes in, she's like, "I'm just going to get a little cut off the bottom, just trimmed, just to clean it up."
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes in, and they're like, 90% of the time she'll come home, "So she cut a little more than I expected her to, and then I asked," but like, it's like, well, I feel like that's a trend.
Right.
Like, so maybe he had gotten his hair cut so many times where a little bit off the bottom was actually like a couple inches.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
I don't know, man. That's really one of the only times that I've had anything that I was like pissed off when I was done.
Right.
Like for the most part, people are really cool. Like I don't really have any issues.
And at the same time, if you're gonna give somebody a product that you think they want and they don't like it, well, why would you do it again?
Right.
It's like, well, like obviously I didn't give you what you wanted last time.
Right.
So, like,
yeah, and that's the biggest thing I tell people. It's like, well, last time, it was a little long here. Like, I'm like, dude, tell me. Like, you're not gonna fit me. I would much rather you tell me to nitpick me than to go, "Oh, it's fine," and then leave and be pissed off. Like,
right.
you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Like, I want to give you what you want. So just communicate that with me and we're good.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big problem with people just in general.
Yeah,
So
they get scared or
because
worried
I'm
of
even
hurting
been in the
feelings.
chair because I never got my hair cut until I was probably 30, 31 was the first time I ever got my hair professionally cut. Because I always thought, so I was a competitive swimmer. that led into football, and I always thought I was gonna be bald by the time I was 30. So it was just always my mom buzzed my head, and then I buzzed my head, and it was always just I kept it just completely buzzed.
Right.
And then I turned 30, and I was like, well, shit, I still have hair.
Right.
I guess I could, maybe try to do something with it.
Right.
But I've been in that chair where like, all right, well, is this good? And it's like, well, like that's not exactly what I was thinking, but like, yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
And then you walk away like, why didn't I just say something?
did I
Like,
just
this
say
is
something?
so dumb. Like,
Yeah.
why did I just say like, no, if you could, take a little more off this, so that like,
Yeah.
if we could just use our words,
Yeah.
and say, yeah, no, this is what I would like. And no, that's not it. This is what I want.
Right.
Okay, great. Then you can give somebody what they actually want.
Right. Yeah.
But they have to ask for it, right?
Mhm. And then you have people that are completely opposite that I don't want to say overshare, but will tell you anything. Like I've had some,
I can imagine that.
I've had like, honestly, in barber school was the first time I really got a glimpse of it. I had this guy that I think was probably special needs, and he would come to me. We would talk about old Browns players, like as if I knew everyone he was talking about. I'm like, bro, I was born in like '87. Like I don't know any of these people, but like it was cool.
Alive then,
Right? Like we had a good like thing, and after like he just got like a simple like a buzz cut, just kind of in and out. And after like the third or fourth time I cut him, he was like, "I'm your buddy," like like we're friends.
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes in and he was like a little down. I'm like, "What's going on, man? Like, how you feeling today? How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I just found out like an hour ago my mom passed away." I was like, "Whoa." And he's like, "Yeah, you're the first person I'm telling." I was like, "Oh my God.
What am I supposed to do with that?"
Yeah. So then you're like, whoa. So you're like trying to like, I don't know. Should I talk to him about it? Should I not talk to him about it? Like, does he want to talk about it? And I'm all he has to talk to, or I don't know. So you get put in some situation where like there was a meme going around like barbers are like part-time counselors or full-time counselors, that just kind of know how to cut hair, like one of those kind of things. And that can definitely be true. Like you get some guys that don't say anything, but then you get people that like share really serious stuff or they're talking about like stuff with their relationships. And I'm like, bro, I don't, I try to help you with as much as I can, but
God, can't get your dick to work, bro.
Yeah.
That's what Tony's for.
Well, it's hard to like you have those. It's a weird position. I've thought the same way on the receiving end, like getting a tattoo.
Oh, yeah,
Because you're
same
laying
thing.
there for hours.
Yeah.
Depending on how big, and like, and this person's like, really like stretching your skin around, and they're doing like, and it's
Yeah.
like, man, like, I don't know, like, should I talk? Should I not talk?
know,
Like,
yeah.
do they want me to I if I talk, is it annoying? Is
gonna-
it distracting?
Yeah,
Like, do they just want me
exactly.
to shut the fuck up and let me do their job? Like,
Right.
I don't know. But like,
Right.
it's, I guess it's the, and then, well, I guess you take in the historical piece of what like a barbershop used to be.
Right.
Of people just sitting around
Bullshit.
shooting shit and
Yeah.
talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a balance there.
Yeah.
Like, you come home or you come into the barbershop and I just caught my wife cheating on me. I walked in like, whoa.
Yeah.
that's a little heavy for this place. I feel like.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
I'm sure you get it.
Oh yeah, you get everything. You get everything. The biggest thing with us is like we do a decent amount of like kids cuts, so that kind of cuts down on some of that stuff.
There's a little buffer.
But if it's just a bunch of like dudes in there, like it gets wild sometimes. It's cool, like it's fun, but
I like how you guys have the shelf, man, with the bourbon, like they do
Yeah.
with the salons and the wine.
yeah,
It's kind of like sweet. You can just go in there, pour yourself a little libation, and
yeah. We
get
usually
yourself some tasty brown water.
have PBR or High Life in the fridge. Like those are like the two at all times, just because like everyone pretty much likes those. But then a lot of people bring in their own stuff.
That's awesome.
Like we had a guy this morning that brought in a 6-pack of Miller Lite. It was like 10:30. I'm like, whatever, man. And then before I left, I'm like, I'm gonna steal one of those. He's like, they're for everybody. Take one. I was like, okay, good.
That's
So-
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It just that's kind of like the vision we wanted. We wanted to be just like a place to chill, and we'll have people just come in and just hang out, have a bourbon. Had a guy bring me a couple of cigars the other day and just have a bourbon. I was like, all right. Like I'm not cutting his hair for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's just like, I was at the cigar lounge and I had these and I figured you like them. You care if I have a drink? I'm like, no, go ahead, dude.
That's rad.
awesome. Yeah, that's super cool space.
Yeah. So
Yeah, just don't drink too much and then get a straight razor shave and accidentally get cut. 'Cause loosen up that blood a little bit
Right.
too much. That's super awesome. I was curious, going back to the straight razors, do
Mhm.
you, because this is just purely for my own benefit at this point, Do you do like all your own honing or stropping? Like, how do you send that out to get sharp, like the sharpening and all that? Like, because there's a lot of science that goes into that.
So you have to, well, at least you had to, I don't know about now, but you had to know how to hone and strop before you could move on.
Even hone too.
Yeah, you had to know how to do that before you could even move on to take the practical for the state to qualify.
What were the... So I guess let me back up a little bit before I ask this next question. So anybody who doesn't know, like a straight razor it's one piece of metal that is geometrically perfect in the angles and all the things, and it's honed on like multiple different stones, and there's tons of different ways. You know, 100 different ways to skin a cat, but like anybody who's like a hone meister, or they hone master, they call them. I've seen a couple different things, but like there's people out there that like they just like that's their job is to hone razors, because it's like a science and an art.
Right.
It's fascinating. I've done it a bunch and I'm terrible at it. Yeah, that's like I've joked before that it takes me almost as long to sharpen any of my razors as it does to make it, because it's just such a skill. But like there's a lot of depth that goes into that.
Yeah.
So like, what was the process of like them testing you to hone and strop and do all those things?
So when I went, you had to take the written test, and then you get up, and they have a 2-sided hone, and you had to move it. There was a very specific way they wanted you to do it.
Right.
So as long as you did that, you were fine. And then you went over the strop. Where like, and the thing that was weird about the state board was, you know, like in the old movies and stuff where they're like hitting the strop, it's like making all kinds of noise. I wanted to be silent. Like, that's not real. Like, that's not what you really do. We want it to be silent. So you're like already nervous up there, like shaking, like trying not to make any noise. Like, was that too loud?
Yeah, and not trying to cut through the strop.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question, most people don't use conventional razors anymore, just because, like, for us, as an example, like we shave everyone's neck, so you'd have to strop it like every 2 or 3 cuts. Right. It just doesn't make sense.
So you use like a replacement.
Yeah, we have like replacement blade, and it's more sanitary, really. Right. You know, I mean, everyone puts it in their barbicide and everything, and it would technically be sanitary and would be safe, but it's not really practical anymore. Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind I have some old ones because obviously I collect them because of what I do, and I wouldn't mind getting some of those to where I could use them. But like you said, it's a ton of work, and if it's not perfect, then it's not going to work. And it's you know, last thing you want to do is cut somebody or get cause razor burn or something like that. So
yeah, it's a fascinating endeavor.
Jesus, bro, how much have you drank over there?
This is only my second one. Endeavor to like, because the first time I was making knives and someone was like, "Hey, can you make a straight razor?" I'm like, I mean, I could try. Right. I never thought about it, and then it went, downhill from there, good or bad. But it's really fascinating, like learning like all the in-depth procedures and the complexity behind what it is, and like finding some of those old straight razors. Some of those old ones are the best ones you could find if you can,
a lot of those
back to life.
A lot of those are made in Solingen, Germany.
Yeah,
like that's like the biggest area.
Yeah.
So that's like the first thing I look for. Like, there's no way you can remember all of the different brands, but if it's made there, I'm like, it's probably okay. You know?
There's a couple. It's one of those like antiquity fields that like you have to really.
Yeah.
Some people really get crazy with it. I still have. Like I said, I don't work on knives as much as I would like to because I'm just so busy. But like, I have probably like 6 to 8 like 60-plus-year-old razors sitting in my shop, ready to get like refurbished, and I love doing that. But it's like some of them, admittedly, are the best razors I've ever shaved with, including my own.
Yeah.
So it's like, like they knew what they were doing. Like this is cool. Like it's fascinating. But it gives you a much better shave.
Mm-hmm.
It's as long as you do it right. Like there's no like razor burn. There's no any of that like junk that people would normally think of. Naturally you can cut a jugular, but but you got to be careful with that. But
the worst cut actually I've ever seen was from shears, from scissors on a guy's ear in barber school. Someone got him, and it was rough. It was very bloody.
I believe that.
It was bad. And everyone, of course, like crowds around. The school I went to, there's 120 people at a time going through school. So it was like a big crowd around him. And
He almost cut
And he was-
somebody's ear off in school.
Yeah, but
That's a
he was
bummer.
super chill about it though. He's like,
He
whatever.
must have been sharp.
I'm out of school, like that's kind of what happened. So
Well, at least he knew what he was getting into. Right?
yeah.
I never cut myself too bad. I cut myself probably the first 8 months to a year using a straight razor, like learning how to do it, and like because I was learning.
It's all angles. Yeah,
it's angles, and it's like the proper like sharpening and stropping,
stretching,
and stretching, and like all of those things.
Remember you used to lock the door because I
did.
walked in one time and you were startled, so you would lock the door so that there was no interruption.
Yeah, like because it was when I was first learning. Because not only was I learning how to make them, but I was learning how to sharpen them, how to use them, how to like maintain them, and like all at the same time. So I'm like, bitch, you got to stay out. Like you bust in here and I got this thing on my neck. Like I'm going to cut. All it takes is just like a half a second of not paying attention.
Yeah.
Like the worst cut I ever got, I was doing like on the flat part of my cheek, the easiest spot.
Yeah.
Because it's flat, it's nice. And I wasn't paying attention because I was like, oh, like I had gotten used to it and I didn't stretch the skin enough. And the skin like bundled up and the razor just went straight in. It was like a 3-inch cut. It was just, and I was like, I guess this is why I got to pay attention. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it was, but ever since then, I haven't, since I started making them, a regular razor, I mean, I don't shave. I just usually buzz, but like I'll shave my neck and stuff sometimes. A regular razor hasn't touched my face since because it was like, oh, like
life changing.
Yeah, like this is a big deal. Like
Yeah.
when I used to shave my whole face, I was like, this is something different.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of the time for people that come in that get like a lot of people get just their beard lined up and everything. It's like the hot towels and the whole thing is like what they like about it. I mean, of course, like it's a nice clean line, but honestly, anymore with some of the trimmers, you can get almost because our trimmers are ridiculous. They're super sharp and they're expensive and everything, but it's just kind of the experience and people love it. So
yeah, the experience is
it's kind of the sound too, like the whole ASMR, like of the sound of like it's like a thing, man.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
I believe that. Oh, is that the that's the shot of your little wall with all the, is that soaps and
hair product and
I didn't see one of the bourbon wall. I don't think you have one.
no, probably not. Maybe.
They saw some bourbon.
Oh, there's some, yeah.
I like that you have Mike.
I just cut him and all of his people for his
I saw
wedding.
a picture of you. So his sister married one of Fred's really good friends from high school. His sister Rochelle. So
I just met
John.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we met Mikey when he was still in high school.
Oh, it was earlier than that. He was probably like 13 or 14.
Oh, really?
15 years ago.
Oh,
13 years ago, something like that.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's cool. Yeah, Mikey's my dude. I love that guy.
That's cool.
He's a good kid. And he's got really good hair, so it makes
he's got really good hair. It makes it easy.
It makes it easy. I mean, his hair is hard to cut if you don't know what you're doing, but
just the thickness and
the thickness and the color. Right. His hair is like jet black. So if you don't know what you're doing, you'll see every line and everything.
Oh, right.
But if you do, and the fade looks, you can make it look like you're way better than you really are.
That's really cool.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was so the whole thing started with people just bringing in bottles. Like when we opened, like all of those are from customers. Well, the ones from our landlord, and the rest are customers that just brought bottles in, and then it kind of turned into what we have now. Like I think out of I haven't even counted how many bottles we have, but out of all of them, I think I only bought 2, and then one of them Britta bought me for my birthday, and I just threw it on the shelf. But yeah, it's kind of like a whiskey share. Like people are like, oh, I haven't tried that, and we have a lot of people that travel and stuff like that, so they'll see something out or something that we don't have, and they'll bring it and throw it up there.
That's awesome.
So it just kind of
the coolest part about that is it's that community piece of it, right?
Yeah,
it's it's organic.
Yeah,
like that's some of the coolest like things that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a stop down there.
We had a guy the other day that came in. I was actually done because we're appointment only. We only we don't really do walk-ins. We will if we are in between or we have time, or if we have an opening later, we'll get you in. But it was the end of my day, and this guy walks in. He's like, I walked in because of the Buffalo Trace. I could see the Buffalo Trace through the door.
You can't find that.
He's like, this is going to be my kind of place. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm done, but since you're cool, like, I'll cut your hair. So I just cut him real quick, and he ended up being a big cigar guy. And I'm a big cigar guy, which that kind of happens a lot. Like bourbon guys and cigar guys kind of
They pair
And,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
they kind of pair well. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep my Buffalo Trace behind the door because it'll get drank really fast, and I have a handle of store pick.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean we can bust it out if you like to try it. But it's one of those things where like if I sit on the shelf, I'll just drink it. Real
Yeah.
fast. So it's like, all right, let's not only for
That's what it's there for, man.
right.
well, yeah, but like because I'll be like, oh, I can go for another glass of that Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'll drink it. It's more so for my own personal control than anything. That's awesome. So you've been doing. So you've been only going at it for what 2 years? It's just over 2 years now.
So-
Yeah.
I graduated in 18, and So then I
Well, the store you're.
the shop I'm at now.
Shop-
yeah,
shop,
we
store.
opened up in 2020. Yeah, so we just hit a little over 2 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Things
went
are going-
quick. It went real fast.
I bet it did.
It did. Then we brought Ryan on, our third guy.
So you have
So
3 people there now.
We have 3 people.
Okay.
Yeah, Britta and I open it together. We're partners, and then we brought Ryan on in December,
Nice.
and he's been there ever since. And he fit in perfectly, and now he's almost full every day like us. And it's good for him. It's good for us, but he would have some openings here and there, and now he's to the point where he's pretty much like us. So he's pretty much full constantly. He's really good at what he does, and he came up from Nashville, Tennessee. He sought us out, and he's like, "Hey, I'm moving up there. Is there any chance you guys want to bring someone on?" And I was like, "I don't know." So we kind of talked about it, and we got back to him, and it worked out. So
That's cool. It's so cool to see people doing those things where, and I think we're seeing it more and more, but like, growing up in this kind of generation, at least this is kind of my view on it. When we were younger, it was always like, well, you go through school and it's like, well, you can either be a doctor or a lawyer, or you can go into like construction.
right,
Those are basically your options. Like that's it.
Right.
Like, and it's like,
right,
wait a minute. Like, you have to go work for somebody. You have to go to corporate, or you have to go to some, company to like get a job. And it's like, well, and you realize more and more, like, no, like you can go as long as there's some kind of viable, profit that you can make off of some kind of enterprise. Like you can do whatever you want. You just got to find the people that want what you're willing to offer.
right,
So to see people just doing it.
right.
Like that's so cool, especially in an
Yeah.
environment like that. Like, like maybe the point is it's like finding what you enjoy doing, or at
Mhm.
least can remotely enjoy doing, is really cool.
Right.
But not only the fact that like you get to like hang out and talk to people, and
Yeah.
maybe sometimes they talk to you a little too much.
Not
but-
often.
Yeah, but like like that's a really cool environment to be like, yeah, like like middle of the workday, like your customer, yeah, go ahead, you can grab a glass of bourbon, I'll cut your hair, and
Right.
like how cool is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's really neat to be able to find something that
Yeah.
were you, I guess, looking back and trying to look forward,
hmm
did you ever expect to be able to find something like that you were just able to do on your own, and just like, was that a goal of yours, or
Yeah. Like, I don't know. We come, like, my whole family is pretty, like, hard nosed, stubborn. Like, we're just going to go and do what we want to do. And I figured out, I've done, which I think is super important. I've had a lot of jobs that sucked, and I've done shitty work that I hated, but it makes you appreciate doing something you like more, or it gives you a lot of times, well, for some people, it gives you motivation to get the hell out of there, And I've liked, every place I've been, I've had good people I worked with, but the job sucked. A lot of the jobs were rough. Done a lot of construction jobs. I've done a bunch of different jobs. But it kind of took that to go, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to go and do what the hell I want to do, And that was basically the genesis of this. It just kind of happened to be barbering, which I had no idea of. I didn't even consider it, but it worked out the way it did. And a lot of people are asking, are you guys going to open another location? Because that's a pretty small shop. There's just the 3 of us. There's really no way for us to put another person in there. And it's not that I don't want to do more or open a bigger place, but you kind of lose the like the feel of the shop. And the more people you have, the more personalities you have, the more things change, more you don't have as much control over everything. Not that I'm like a control freak, like everyone does what they want, but I do want a certain type of product going out the door. You know what I mean? And then you lose that once you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I like where we're at now, and I would rather get into other fields and then still barber, but do other things as opposed to just starting some huge corporate type place. That's not
right.
That's not what I want.
It's like a barbershop. Like it's an intimate, it's the intimacy that makes it special.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like the community aspect of it too. Right. Like we do a lot of stuff with fundraisers and like sports camps and stuff like that. And I feel like once you get big, I mean, sure, there's more money to go around that way to help community wise, which is great, but it doesn't feel as like genuine in my opinion.
A little diluted.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like I'm happy with where we're at. And I want to do other routes, and then just kind of cut hair when I can cut hair, and just kind of do it that way eventually.
Pray tell these other routes.
I was just about to say the same thing. What are we talking here?
I don't.
If you can.
Yeah, I'm not.
Or just ideas of the.
So a good friend of mine called me randomly the other day. He's like, "Have you ever heard of microscalp pigmentation?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know a lot about it." They kind of talked about it in school, where it's basically like where they tattoo your head.
Yeah.
Like people that are balding or are bald, they go in and they tattoo to like make it look like stubble and look super realistic and everything. And there's a guy in Mansfield, I think his name's Clayton, that does it, and he's just won. I just was watching. I'm the type of person, like once I hear about something, I like research the hell out of it, you know.
I'm on board.
So I was looking up videos of him, and then my buddy sent me a YouTube of a podcast that he was on. And I was watching that podcast, and he just won like some award in that industry as like a newcomer of the year. Well, just within the last couple of weeks or months, he started training. So I was like, it might be a different route to go. And then like I was thinking more like stuff that don't really kind of passive income stuff like
mailbox money.
Yeah, just that's kind of more the route, like car wash or storage units and.
Hey,
just
I don't think you can never really go wrong with real estate.
In real estate,
right? You know, I mean, because even whatever it is, it's a storage place or that's still a chunk of land.
Yeah,
God ain't making no more of it. At least, not that I'm aware of.
Right.
Unless Elon really gets us on Mars or something.
Yeah. I just heard a hilarious thing about that. Someone asked him recently. I don't know if you've heard this or not. About his kids because he has however many kids now.
Like close to like 10 or something like that.
Right. So someone was kind of giving him shit about it, and he's like, Mars needs people. And that was his response. I'm like, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's so funny.
I know he did. Yeah. He's been pretty vocal about that. He thinks the reproductive rate is dangerously low, or actually like in the negative, essentially.
Right.
That we need to be like popping out more people. And in one hand, I'm like, okay, I could see that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, we got a lot of people out here that
got a lot going on. Yeah.
I don't know, contributing. Maybe. I don't know. And that might be a little harsh, but
not really.
Not really.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah, but it's like, man, like it's great if we could have more people contributing, but there's a lot of people that aren't contributing at all. And I don't mean like necessarily like, you know, specific things, but what was that? Oh, I was like, I thought that was Layla just squeaking away. Yeah. So it's like, man, like, I don't know. That's dangerous proposition. But Mars needs people. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so funny.
Yeah, I didn't realize he has quite a few. It's
yeah.
Like, he's got like multiple kids from, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure
it's going to be every dude's response. It has like 5 baby mamas.
Mars
Mars needs people.
Yeah, but at least he's like financially able to take care of them.
Yeah, take care of half the world, you mean?
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, he could take care of some people for, you know.
Yeah, I guess
he's
if you pop
money.
out Elon's baby, that's like hitting the lottery.
Exactly, yeah.
Probably. Hell, maybe I could have Elon's baby.
It is 2022.
Yeah, you kind of do what you want now.
At least be taken care of. He's like, I don't know.
I'm not touching that one.
Not
Yeah.
touching that
I'm
one.
not touching that one. All right, I'll dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah, we'll go either bourbon, cigars, meat, firearms, or music.
I don't know, man.
Let's hear.
I'm
let's
a
hear,
fan of all of it. So.
I know you are. Let's hear music, man. What's on the playlist?
I listen to everything. Like I really do. I know a lot of people say that, but like on my way here, I was listening to Young Gravy.
That sounds familiar.
He's
but
hilarious. He's just like this white rapper that's hilarious. But a lot of the time, like I see the White Buffalo thing over there.
Yeah.
Big fan of him.
You like the buff? You like
Yeah.
old Jake Smith? I love me some
Yeah.
Jake Smith. He actually signed Bill Murray's head. That's why Bill Murray's
Oh,
in
nice.
the frame there. Yeah.
Nice.
It's real faint.
Yeah,
'cause
I can see it.
It's been
Kind
old.
of.
I don't know that I've ever seen you like slightly nervous / starstruck in my life, except for the first time when you met.
That was probably
Jake
the most
Smith.
nervous. The second nervous is basically every time I do a podcast. But definitely I was more nervous meeting the White Buffalo.
He was a cool dude.
He
though,
was
man.
Was he?
super cool.
As
Yeah,
laid
he was
back as could
really
be.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a really cool dude.
No, I don't know, man. I like everything. I'm into, I don't know, even what you want to call it, like outlaw country, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
Jinx and Childers and
Yeah.
Paul Cawthon. Actually, we named all of our
Oh, God.
beard butters and beard oils after those guys.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, Jinx, Childers, because we were like last minute, like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
screw it, let's just do that, because we listen to a lot of that in the shop.
True.
But yeah, Paul Cawthon's probably one of my favorites.
You
I
can't go wrong with
I
it.
love
He
that
is such
dude.
a.
And he
he's
was
such a
super
character.
nice.
Big
I
Bill.
Oh, you met
I
him?
met him, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
pretty cool. And, like,
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really nice. I was lucky enough to meet him, and I think I had a Jinx shirt on, a big Cody Jinx fan, and he gave me shit. And then I met Ward Davis, and I had a different Jinx shirt on, and I was like, I'm glad that he's open for you for all these years, because that's like their big joke, because Jinx is like way more popular than Ward Davis, and he loved it. But it was kind of an awkward thing meeting him, because his now ex-wife was talking to some dude off stage. So the whole time he's playing, he's like staring at his wife,
shooting laser beams.
Dude, it was. I like looked at my wife. I'm like, babe, do you see that? She's like, yeah, something's not right. Like this is weird.
Dude, that's not good, man.
But it was
That's wild.
it was kind of cool for the story, you know. Like,
Yeah.
but other than that, yeah. I haven't seen Childers yet. I really want to see Childers. Like, we go to tons of concerts.
Yeah.
My wife always gives me shit because she's like, can we do something that's not including a ticket? Like, can we just like go somewhere and, you know, like, why does it always have to be
With music?
right? She likes and she enjoys a lot of the stuff. Like, I'm also like a big metalhead too. She doesn't go to any of those shows, but actually Craig Naletti and I've been going to a lot of shows together, and
That's what he said.
yeah, and we like pretty much the same exact stuff. Like, kind of the outlaw country. I don't really listen to much radio country at all. Like, I know some of it, but I don't really listen to it. But typically it's that kind of country, and metal shows is what I go to.
Well, I feel like this is my thing with the country, like, because I love big fan of Childers and
Mm-hmm.
obviously the Buffalo and like Zach Bryan and
Zach Bryan's another. I'm
Yeah.
going to see him. I'm going down to the
Columbus.
Buckeye.
yeah,
thing,
say
Columbus,
yeah, we're going to the show too.
Yep.
My daughter's first concert she's ever going to. It's gonna
nice.
blow her fucking mind. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just the people alone. Just
Oh yeah.
because I'm not a huge fan of like the big venues
No,
and
I'm
concerts
not
and
either.
festivals, because it's just like there's just some of that magic is lost.
100
But-
times. Yeah.
She'll love it, and like we saw, it was the first
Here's the
time.
Travis.
The only time I saw Zach Bryan was down in Kentucky, and it was
Oh, really?
the show was the people who put on the show were. It was fucking rough. But it was really.
That's about an understatement.
It was.
was that-
There were people getting.
That was with Craig at the Railbird.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard that was rough.
us
yeah.
waiting in line, not even inside,
and people.
and people
dropping.
dropping like flies outside
Like,
the
there
gate.
wasn't water or something. Was that?
There
one of
was
the
like the
things?
water.
Or-
Like there was a lot of water, but the amount of people. I don't know if they just sold too many tickets
Oh.
and didn't have the proper infrastructure to support them.
Mhm.
But I would say we saw 2 people pass out in line.
Yeah,
Even before
they
we got into the
threw
venue.
gates.
Oh my
In the
God.
venue,
Just-
it was at least probably, if you
just
didn't see
the look,
one
you
every
see 'em,
couple
like,
hours,
swaying, and like,
yeah, and you see them like
down they go.
the medics coming, like driving through on their gators with someone on the back, and it was like because it was hot. It was like 95 degrees.
Yeah.
Like no, like it was. There was some problems.
Yeah.
But the people there were great. Like the very first concert I saw was John Moreland.
Oh, nice.
Woo is
good dude.
Yeah, super cool to see. Just sit there and like listen to him play because he's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they had some really awesome bands. We saw Isbell. Jason Isbell is a good
love
one.
him
kind of. That we got there and it was how many people you say were sitting there watching Isbell on that lawn? I mean, it had to be
half of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, there was probably, if there wasn't 30,000 people.
Easily. And there was like multiple stages there.
Yeah, that was just at that stage.
Yeah,
wow.
like you couldn't navigate through there. Like the lines for the beer were like, what, 2.5, 3 hours?
Well, I did I had a Camelback of water.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I can't even consider drinking here because if I get drunk, like you're never, like I might not make it out.
Right.
Like I might, unless I'm on a stretcher. Like this is no good. But we saw Zach Bryan there and it was like, I got up real close and it was cool. But like now I'm like, good luck ever seeing, some of these people in like, have you ever been to like the Grog Shop or anything?
Oh,
like
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Like some of those venues, like even, I saw Shaky at the House of Blues, Shaky Graves.
That'd be sweet. Yep.
Really cool show. Like those are the venues were like, okay, this is really neat because you can actually like see the people play.
Oh yeah.
But once they get famous enough, then
I think like one I don't know if I'll ever top. Like I've seen some really good shows, like Rammstein. I saw Rammstein.
Oh, I bet that'd be
and it was just a crazy show. Like the show was just amazing. But probably one of the best like concerts ever. My wife and I went down and ended up meeting friends of ours. We went to the Rumba Cafe. It's tiny. It's like as big as my shop. And Paul Cawthon was there and Leah Blevins, I think, was there. And like he comes out and he's like, come on up. Because there was 40 people there, maybe. And I was this close to him the whole show.
Awesome.
And then the craziest thing is it was right before he brought out, I don't remember the name of the album. I think the 2019 album. I don't remember the name of it. I'm not
as familiar with his album names. I'm familiar with the songs.
There's one song about his grandpa that he wrote like 6 months prior. And he said, this is the first time I'm going to try to sing this song. Oh. Because his grandpa passed away. Yeah. And dude, like the whole place was in tears because he had to stop like 3 times. And then he finally got through it. Because if you've ever seen him, he'll do, if he's with his band, he'll do like most of a show, stop, give them a break. Then he'll do like 4 acoustic songs and then bring them back out. And the last time I saw him, we just saw him in Columbus at the Bluestone this year. When he came back out, it's like, all right, now let's blow the fucking roof off this place. And he like got down. Like he was like 2-stepping and everything. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that show at the Rumba Cafe, dude, that's going to be hard to beat because it was so intimate. I just walked right up to him after the thing. I'm like, hey, can I get a picture with you? We kind of bullshitted a little bit. And he was, like I said, he was giving me shit about my Jinx shirt. And it was crazy. Like it was unbelievable. And then the following year, or maybe the same year, we went and saw Jinx at the Goodyear in Akron. We ended up staying. We're staying in a hotel because Akron's not far, but we know how we get at concerts.
Right.
We ended up staying in the same hotel as Jinx. And we're waiting for my buddy, Matt Babcock, and his wife in the lobby to go to a bar first before we go to the show. He comes around the corner from the elevator. He's like, dude, we just met Jinx in the elevator. I'm like, fuck you. No, you didn't. Like, I thought for sure.
Sounds like a familiar
he's
story.
Like, he's walking out right now. And I look and I see him walking away. And I'm like, oh, man. Like, I'm not going to go bug him now. He went up to Luigi's and the line was like forever long. So he turned around and came back. I'm like, now's my chance. So I went out and, again, super, super nice guy. His wife took a picture of my wife and him and I, and super nice. It was so cool. And that's what I like about like that kind of music is like, those guys aren't, not that all people that have made it are pretentious, but they were super, just like everyday, normal guy. And I saw him the next morning. We left and he was outside smoking a cigarette. He's like, great show, man. He's like, thanks. Because the fanboy in me like wants to ask him a million questions, but like, I don't want to be that guy.
The respectfulness of it.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well. And he was, I think he was appreciative of it because he was just like, he just woke up, you could tell. So. Yeah, it's cool. I love that.
Those interactions are really cool.
Yeah,
because that was similar to the interaction we had with the White Buffalo at that concert because they did a little meet and greet, and we were there and I don't know. He said he saw us in the crowd.
Yeah, he's like bunch of big corn-fed motherfuckers.
Yeah,
down
we
there
were.
or something.
Yeah, we were pretty.
A
but
little
it was
juicy at the time.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
neat. Like we got to hang out, like talk to his drummer and the bassist and him, and like we're just hanging out. We got a picture, and like he signed my chest because I was
Yeah.
wearing the shirt. Like,
I think we drank a beer with him.
yeah, we did. Like
That's
it was really
awesome.
neat to like be able to have those interactions. And then the second time I saw him with you at the grog shop,
Yeah.
I think you were out. Weren't you out to dinner or something
Yeah,
like that?
I was
you
out,
saw him at
I was
the
out
same
to
place?
dinner, and someone's like, "Hey, I think that's the White Buffalo. I think that's Jake Smith." And I'm like, "No, it's not." And he was sitting at the bar with his drummer and his bassist, and I'm like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "I think that's him." So I went up and I put my arm around him, and I'm like, "Hey," I was like, "You guys put on a hell of a show." I'm like, "What are you drinking?" And they're like, "Whatever you're serving." So got him
That's
a drink
awesome.
and had a drink with them, and then watched them rock out. Man, they were super cool.
Yeah, but it's
That's
neat to
so
be able to
cool.
interact with people like that.
Yeah.
And they're just like super down to earth.
Right.
I mean, because it'd be hard, like
Yeah.
especially once you get famous, quote unquote, whatever,
Right.
big, where
Right.
everybody and their fucking brothers coming up to you and like, especially like I can imagine like sitting there with their family having dinner or something like that.
Mhm.
People are trying to like, oh, like come on, like give me
a second.
yeah. It's 7:00 in the morning. You walk out of the hotel, like
Yeah.
you see him. It's
I do what Bill Murray does, bro. I would just say the most ridiculous shit to people and be like,
Oh yeah.
Bill Murray, nobody's gonna believe you. Dude, actually, funny story about meeting someone famous. This just jogged my memory. I was down at Tortuga in Fort Lauderdale, that big country concert down there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Saul LaChance. I don't know if you know
Yeah, I know
Saul
Saul.
LaChance.
Mm-mm.
I was with Saul
He's a
LaChance
character.
and Tyler Daso. And Kane Brown had performed earlier, and he was
Mhm.
just standing in front of us. And he
Really.
was just blazing up, smoking a little weed.
Right.
And
supposedly,
that-
allegedly.
that was when we were that was when we were writing more and playing more and shit like that. And the guys were like, "Dude, go talk to him. Go pitch him your songs." And I'm
Go
like,
pitch him your songs.
"Go pitch him your songs."
Yeah, because
And
he
I'm
hasn't
like,
heard that before,
yeah.
right?
Right.
I'm like, two things, boys. I'm like, number one, no, I'm not just gonna go bother a dude who's trying to help him, like, or try to pay attention here and have a good time and smoke a joint. Like, I come between this man and his joint.
Right.
Number
That's always a bad idea.
number two, if I was gonna pitch my music to someone, it sure as hell wouldn't be him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the
No,
quite
no
the,
offense. I was like, but that's not kind of what we're going for genre wise, if you will.
Right.
And so, dude, without missing a beat, Saul LaChance goes up and just taps him on the shoulder, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "You're Kane Brown, aren't you?"
You're,
And he goes,
I know you.
kind of those eyes just squinted. He's like, "Yeah, I am." He goes, it was probably about 4 years ago. He goes, "Do you remember?" He goes, "You were at this place called the Dusty Armadillo," and he goes, "I'm pretty sure it was like the first time you'd ever one of his first concerts ever." And he goes, "Dude, you came on, you played like 2 songs," and he goes, and you just left." And he goes, "Yeah, I do remember that." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You owe me $10." Dude, he looked
That's
so
awesome.
fucking confused. He was just like, "What?" And dude, we were just like, "All hail Saul LaChance.
That's
You win the night.
That's amazing.
You owe me $10."
Oh,
Have you guys ever heard of a YouTube channel called Gun Drummer?
Oh, is that the? I think Chad
So-
I
just
don't know.
sent
Is
that
that
the
the,
other
is
day.
that the guy who
With the
plays
percussion and he
songs
shoots
with the
guns to-
guns?
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen it.
Yeah, that's my dude. Like, I'm friends with him.
Oh,
No
really?
shit.
Yeah. So I cut his hair. It goes back to barbershop. I cut his hair like a month after he put out his first video.
Is
We
he
were
from
like-
around here?
He's from Ashland area. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
Bro, does that really surprise you?
I know it. I mean, it seems like someone I could get along with really well. Like, I
So-
love it.
because of that, we ended up going like I went to like his brother's like diaper party. Like we're good dudes. Like
Yeah.
and we became friends through like metal at the beginning of all of that, and then he just like blew up out of nowhere. And I'm like, dude, what the hell made you think of that? He's like, I don't know. I just because he was a drummer and like he's like a project manager. Like he's like has a real life and a real
Yeah.
job. And it was, I don't know, I think probably January of this year, he texted me, or he came in and we're talking. He's like, hey, I'm going down to see All That Remains. They're doing that tour of the album. I blanked on the name, but it's like my favorite album by them. I'm like, that's sick. He's like, yeah, I'm in contact with Phil, the lead singer. I was like, what?
Excuse
He's like,
me. Excuse
he's
me.
like, yeah, we're gonna go like probably go backstage and like hang out with him and shit. Talk about guns because Phil's a huge gun guy. If you know anything about Phil, but I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, I would definitely go to that. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be like, hey man, can I tag along?
Yeah.
But
That sounds like a great time.
yeah, I'm like, that sounds really cool. That'd be really neat to meet him. So long story short, the next week I end up going down with him and 4 of his buddies. And this goes back to the Saul thing. One of his buddies is an ex-military dude, wears a cane or has a cane to walk, and he walks around saying "cane gang" all the time. And we get to the venue. There's a line of like 300 people. We got there early. We go up to the door and we're like, hey, we're supposed to be VIP. Like, we're in contact with Phil, blah, blah, blah. And all these people are looking at us like, who the hell are you guys? Like, we skipped everybody. They let us right in.
That's awesome.
And we were like still not meeting him. It was kind of like a weird thing. We're supposed to meet him before and he got held up, whatever. But the whole time through the show, Nate is the guy's name, the gun drummer's name. Nate and I are just like standing beside each other and everyone's like looking at him. And then his buddy, the Cane Gang, is like Jack Black. Like he would walk up to anybody and be like, you ever heard of Gun Drummer?
He's one of those guys.
Yeah. He's like,
Have you ever heard of this guy?
He's my best friend.
There he is.
He's right there. And people are like, I thought that was him. And then he's
That's
like,
awesome.
God damn, dude, stop. Like, stop doing that to me.
Just trying to have a good time.
It was
Yup.
hilarious. The whole night was hilarious. And then at the end of the night, we ended up meeting and hanging out, talking guns with Phil,
That's awesome.
like drinking beers and just like chilling with him for like, it wasn't like a 5-second meet and greet thing. It was like 25 minutes of just bullshit. And he's like, all right, guys, I got to go. I got to eat. I got to, because it was late. It was like a Wednesday night.
Right.
But it was super cool. It was super cool.
Awesome.
Well, it's really neat to when you like. That was one of my biggest fears going back to the White Buffalo thing. Was like people say like never meet your heroes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's like you don't want to learn that they're a douchebag.
Yeah.
But there's so many people out there that are doing really awesome things that are just cool people. They're just normal, cool people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I think a big piece that like keeping in mind, like you've mentioned, is like sometimes people are just busy.
Yeah.
They have things they got to do, especially when they're running concerts and they're playing, 5 shows in a week. Like they got to travel, they got to move, they got to go.
Interviews and this and that.
Yeah. And they're on stage. Like that shit's exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
So like to even get the chance to be able to hang out with someone like that, they're really cool just for a small amount of time. And they're super awesome during the whole period. It's like, that's a really cool person. Like,
Right.
That's a phenomenal person to be able to, cause fuck me, I get off, I have a really easy like day job.
Yeah.
But at the end of that job, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see nobody. I just want to like
Yeah.
leave me alone.
How do you think I feel?
Yeah.
So I do all day.
Yeah. Like even this, like I love doing this podcast.
Yeah.
It's one of the most stressful things I've ever done
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not like at my core. Maybe not. Maybe it is at my core who I am, but it wasn't who I have been my entire life.
Right.
But like it's one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the day after, I'm like, or like right out, like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like give me a day. And then
Yeah.
I can talk to some people. So like when you meet those people that are out doing that day in and day
Oh,
out,
yeah.
and putting all the energy
Thousands
in
of people. Yeah.
and still being nice,
Mhm.
like you're a really good person. man.
Right.
Like,
Right.
But we always catch those like snippets of some of those people like that one time they got pushed too far.
Right.
Like I'd hate to have all the times that I got pushed too far and I did something that I didn't like
On
that I
film.
regretted
Yeah.
or whatever. Like
Yeah.
and it's on film for like thousands of millions of people to
Right.
see. It's like fuck.
Yeah, I just saw a video. I think it was Tom Hanks where they got too close to his wife, or like his wife kind of got pushed or whatever, and he's like, "Back the fuck up!"
Oh, I'm fucking a motherfucker
Which,
up.
yeah, and that's exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
I
like,
get it. Like,
yeah.
I know you're trying to do your job, but like, there's a line, and you've
Yeah.
crossed the line, and people are like giving him shit. I'm like, wow, that's like part of his job, as a husband,
Yeah.
That should be your main job, right?
right?
Yeah, if you weren't famous and someone did that to your wife,
Exactly.
Like, what
Yeah.
are you gonna do?
Yeah, you just have some
Exactly.
random person coming up and sticking a camera in your wife's face. Like, what?
Right.
What? You're just gonna
What are
be?
you
Oh,
doing?
okay, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
no, like you wanted to be famous. It's your fault. Like, what? Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here. Like,
That's-
there's still like a human respect.
Right.
That should be.
Right.
You would think. But there's some people out there that, I guess, going back to the population thing.
Yeah.
There's some people out there that aren't quite on the same level as.
Right.
All right.
most of them are.
So let me hit you with this scenario.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You're gonna die.
Whoa, Jesus.
All right.
But
That's true.
somehow
Yeah,
you were
that's true.
accidentally buried. Okay. And so you know you're going to suffocate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just biding time.
I'm
Like,
interested now.
that's it.
This is
Okay.
interesting.
But you also like somehow I can't explain it, but you got
Super
two
hypothetical.
cigars with you, and you have 2 bourbons with you.
Okay.
Okay.
What-
So it's just gone.
What's
Yeah.
what-
That's a lot of.
what's going to be in your
a lot of
in your
pre-story.
tomb?
Cigars. I'm a huge Tatuaje fan, so probably it's a Coho New 2021 is
Okay.
the specific one. I love those. Those are great. Man, I don't know. The other one,
It could be two variations of.
yeah, probably a different Tatuaje. They'd probably both be Tatuaje cigars. And then as far as bourbon, honestly, E.H. Taylor's probably one of my favorites. That's the first time I've had single barrel.
That's why I brought it.
It's
When-
amazing.
When you said small batch, I was like, maybe he hasn't had single.
No,
barrel,
yeah,
so
and it's very good.
glad you enjoy it.
Honestly, I got a small
Um,
batch over there.
That and probably Eagle Rare, honestly.
Yeah.
Or if I guess if in this scenario, probably a different kind of Pappy. Like the ones I've had, I've loved. So
I want
in
a
that
real high
situation.
proof one because I want to get my bang for my buck. Right? In that scenario, like
You're like,
yeah,
well,
that batch better be high proof.
just gonna
Yeah.
formaldehyde yourself.
Yeah.
Preserve yourself.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
Do you still have that Eagle Rare store pick, or is that
Yeah,
gone?
yeah, I still got that one on here if you want to try it.
Some of
Here,
those,
I can
no,
bust
I
it
don't
out.
want to try it, but some of the store picks are
If you
like
to try it.
phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, if he's an Eagle Rail,
Yeah.
They're
dude.
phenomenal,
Yeah,
man.
I'll
They're
bust
just
it out.
amazing. Did you ever try the 17?
No.
That was
No.
probably one of the. There's a couple bourbons and ryes that were just big letdowns for me,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, man, that was one of them.
Really?
Yeah, I was bummed, man.
Really?
So that was one of them. I was like, I can't believe this isn't just blowing my socks off.
Yeah.
I've only busted this thing out a couple times,
Oh,
and that's why I
Thank
keep it
you.
back there because
special.
it goes fast. But yeah, be my guess. Yeah, and I also got this it's a
Big
store
buffalo.
pick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a store pick, so you can try that too if you want.
Meats.
Meats.
Hit me with the meats.
I'm a big beef guy. I like beef and pork really.
What are you smoking with? You got a Traeger, you got a Yoder, you got a green egg. What do we?
I have a Pit Boss right now.
Okay.
So I bought the Pit Boss, like the biggest one you could buy, the grill combo, but I never use it as grill.
Okay.
I only ever use it as a smoker. So I think because I've used it a lot, it's about to be done. Actually, I just last weekend, or maybe it was the weekend after the 4th of July. I cut up a bunch of potatoes, and I was just gonna smoke potatoes with, butter and whatever.
Mhm.
And I had them in an aluminum foil pan. For whatever reason, after like an hour and a half of babysitting these things, the temperature spikes up to almost 400.
No.
I look, I'm like, no, and it tasted like burnt.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this. I was so pissed. But so I'll probably buy an offset with like because honestly, a lot of time I just use like a propane for like burgers and steaks and shit. So I'll probably buy an offset with that, which
It sounds like you're out there then, like
yeah,
kind of smoking a cigar, drinking bourbon while you're.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's usually like my 2 or 3 cigars and sometimes bourbon. A lot of time, honestly, with cigars, I drink stouts more than anything.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you
I can
drink
see
beer.
that nice.
Oh yeah,
Something to wash
beer
it
guy.
down and that thickness. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
it's like the sweetness and it
Yeah.
kind of plays with it.
Balances
But
it.
yeah, but no, I like. I had a buddy bring me some beef ribs, like the big dino ribs,
Mm-hmm.
and I smoked them forever.
Dude,
And-
they take forever, don't they?
yeah,
Dude,
it
how
took
good
forever.
are they?
But it was like brisket.
Yup.
It was amazing.
Yup.
I've yet to try brisket. I have not pulled the trigger on it yet because I don't want to buy like a cheap brisket because But I'm
Yeah.
also like I'm confident in what I'm doing.
True.
But I'm just like, man, I'm gonna be pissed if I fuck that up,
I
So
feel
I just
that.
haven't taken the dive yet. I'll probably do that again. I don't know with the way that the Pit Boss was acting, but I might end up with a Traeger. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
which route I'm gonna go, but yeah, we do a lot of like honestly, a lot of the time I'll do like just sausage. Like I'll
Yeah.
throw sausage on there and smoke that and have that like in between while I'm smoking like a pork butt or whatever that takes forever. We do a lot of that and smoked cream cheese. I don't know if you guys have mess with that at all.
Phil Olsen does that all the time, man. He swears by it.
It's so good.
What do you do with it?
Literally, it's just cream cheese, and we have like a roasted garlic seasoning that we use a lot.
Oh, bro, with your homegrown garlic.
Oh,
yeah. And the last time I put a bunch of jalapenos on there. And
I was going to think about jalapenos, like putting like
bacon,
jalapenos, like some
jalapenos,
crackers
yeah.
and some or something
Yeah,
like that.
just like make a dip out of it and just smoke it
Yeah.
until it gets like, loose, and it's so good.
I bet.
It's so good. We do that. We have a big garden, not a big garden, a decent sized garden. And this year I think we did like 10 jalapeno plants because we smoke so many jalapenos.
Yeah.
Do you
We
do
smoke a
garlic
lot of
too?
jalapenos. No.
Do you want to do garlic? Have you ever
Sure.
had homegrown garlic?
I think my dad did it when I was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, bro,
It's legit.
But it's been,
it's
forever.
game changer. Like
Really?
legit, I won't buy garlic from the store.
Really?
I will not. Like so my mom has always been a gardener,
Mhm.
and she grows garlic. And few years back, we're like, oh, I was talking about starting a garden. Garlic's super easy to grow. She's like, here, you can have some of it. And I tasted it. I'm like, oh,
Whoa.
this is
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
So I planted it and been doing that. And then a couple years ago, I ran out at some point in the year, and I was like, well, we need some garlic. So I went to the store, bought some, started mincing it up and tasted it. I threw it all away.
Really?
Literally the entire bag. I was like, I can't
Wow.
eat this shit. Because the change is
Mhm.
just.
So it's like chicken eggs. Like the chicken eggs are like the same thing. Yeah.
I hope so, because literally I should have
Oh, really?
chickens laying
Yeah.
eggs
Oh,
any
no
day
shit.
now. Like
That's
in the
awesome.
last like 2 weeks, we've been going out every single day and checking like, oh, are they going to start laying?
It's a different level.
Do you have some of those too?
I have
Or you get
customers.
some?
Yeah, I have a customer that would bring them to me, and my wife works with a girl that has them. And she'll
Oh, okay.
like we haven't bought eggs forever.
Oh,
But like growing up, we had I grew up on in the country, like a little mini farm, and we always had eggs. I remember telling my wife's from Cleveland. She's like, I don't know, is it really that much different? I'm like, yeah, try
I've
it.
heard it is.
And she tried it, and she's like, whoa, these are way better.
Oh, I
So,
can't wait then. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's a different thing for sure.
Yeah, let me know. I'll because I have some that I pulled from this season. I'll get you some garlic. Because what you can do, all you have to do is, it's funny because like the garlic, all you have to do is break the cloves up,
Okay.
and then in the fall, you literally just stick them in the ground like an inch or two,
Yeah.
cover them up, and they start growing next year.
Sweet.
That's literally like it's the easiest thing, and it's so good. It was like, I guess that was the first thing too. Like along with that, after that, we started growing tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I never liked.
Oh,
I was
it's
never a
different.
huge marinara sauce fan.
Yeah.
Never like spaghetti or tomatoes, and if it's on a burger, fine, whatever. But I was never a big fan of them.
Right.
The first time we grew tomatoes, I brought it in, like cut one up, and I was like, well, I just got to eat it because it's got to try it.
Yeah.
Threw it in my mouth. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like this is why people like tomatoes. This is
Mhm.
why people like homegrown vegetables, because they actually have fucking flavor.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
It's very different.
you
Yeah.
gotta start putting garlic in your.
Yeah.
If you like
we'll do
using
that.
garlic,
Yeah.
it's-
We eat garlic on everything.
Dude.
Literally everything.
Yeah, that's
I'm about to
that's
ruin your
salsa,
world.
man. Next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to ruin your world.
Awesome.
You're gonna have to start growing your own garlic. Yeah, I'll give you some. But yeah, like I would make this garlic where it's just like salsa, tomatoes, like black beans, onions, green peppers, some like jalapenos and stuff, and corn.
Yeah.
And you just put a little bit of like Italian dressing in it and just let it sit
Hmm.
and marinate. Dude,
Super good.
it's so good.
Yeah, we mainly do tomatoes and peppers, cucumbers, zucchini.
Mhm.
My wife makes this like the zucchini, especially. We just had now it's starting to come up.
Oh, dude, I got a counter full up there. Damn it! I was hoping to shed some off on you because I have a
Yeah,
whole
no.
counter full.
We have-
So
we have a
not
lot.
this one.
We have a lot. She'll cut it up and put olive oil, salt, pepper, and Parmesan, and air fry it.
Yep.
God, we eat that a lot.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we tried. I try to stay. I've been trying to stay away from breading it and frying it because
Yeah.
it's so good that
Yeah.
way too. Yeah, usually I just throw it in a pan and like with some seasoning and
Mhm.
like kind of half saute, half like steam it
Yeah,
and just devour the whole thing.
yeah,
So,
it's so good. We do that a lot with steak.
Oh yeah, I can mix. Yeah, it's just the flavor is really good.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know what the vitamin content of squash or zucchini is or
I
anything,
don't-
but it's
I don't know.
good. Like
I don't know. It's
and
good.
it just there's just so much of it. It grows
Yeah.
and just keeps on
It
growing.
keeps
Like, I don't know
going,
what to
yeah.
do with all this. Like,
I think we're gonna do pickles this year. We always overbuy everything, and then it especially tomatoes all come at one time, and you're like, shit. Like, what do you do?
oh yeah.
So last year she made like some homemade like spaghetti sauce and stuff like that. And we froze that, so that was great. But I think we're gonna try to do pickles this year, and
You guys are seem like you're on the same trajectory as us because like we've never canned anything.
Yeah,
we've never like
we
really
haven't
saved
either.
a lot.
We did when I was a kid, but
Yeah, same here. So that's where this year I found like I have almost everything in place to start canning stuff, and we
Nice.
have We have 16 tomato plants,
oh my god,
and they're
you're gonna be overrun.
Dude, it's and they're like literally there's one tomato plant where I have probably like 40 tomatoes on it right now,
Yeah.
and they're starting to change, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. We
Like,
learned that after like 2
marinara
years.
sauce, spaghetti sauce. We're gonna do all this. But I was like, you know what? Like, if we can can it all, like that, it's how good of a base is it? Like with like soups and everything else. Like,
Yeah,
so we're gonna try to can a bunch of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works, but
we figured because I think the first year we had this like something like 15, 16 plants, and we threw away so much. There's just no way to
Yeah.
keep
How many
eat that much.
tomatoes does like one plant yield?
It
probably
depends on
over
what-
100.
Holy, yeah, it's great. It's
1,600
crazy.
tomatoes.
Yeah, probably.
nuts.
No, there's one literally like
Especially like the
White.
grape tomatoes and stuff. They
yeah,
just,
so
they come
we
and
couldn't
go.
find any of the small because
Oh, okay.
Cass loves the small tomatoes like for salads and stuff. But we bought one tomato as like a big plant because we're like, well, last year this is what happened. So our water tables here are really high.
Mm-hmm.
So when it rains a lot, it just floods. And like
Yeah.
the drainage system where we're at, it's basically like our backyard. Our neighbor's backyard's the worst. It like literally just he should build a lake.
Pools up, yeah.
So like when it rains, it stays wet for a long time. Well,
Mhm.
last year, like the way I had the garden laid out, everything just flooded because it got a lot of rain, and we didn't get anything, like
Really?
hardly anything. So
Huh.
this year, I made the garden 6 times bigger and tried to like irrigate it
Yeah.
properly. We're drowning in shit, but I'm like, all right, like I'd rather spend a little extra time learn the necessary like tasks and how to take care of things. Like we tried broccoli, which is dumb because I didn't realize broccoli was a cold weather plant.
Yeah.
But you give it a shot.
Yeah, you figured out.
We have
yeah.
squash and so many different things. So I'm like, all right, like, but now it's like I'd rather at this point, like I'd rather throw fresh produce away
Right.
than have to go buy
Feed it to your
shitty stuff
chickens.
from the store.
You can give it to the chickens.
Yeah, like we compost it as
Yeah.
much. Like there's times where like I'll lose a zucchini, or like not lose it, but just not see
just
it.
gets ridiculous.
And then
yeah.
like I go and find it. It's literally like the size of
like
I don't know.
pumpkin almost.
Yeah, it's like fucking huge. I'm like, what am I gonna do with this?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll cut it up. And,
zucchini bread. Or,
Yeah. so like we're just trying all the things, but it's like, you know, like why not? Like same with the chickens. Like
Yeah.
if I can have
More
something
food.
like this, like why not?
Right.
It might be a little bit of work, but
Did you
especially-
like amend your soil and all that? Like use biotone or any of?
I haven't
any of
gotten
that
that
stuff?
far. We've just
Okay.
started. Like we literally just started composting this year. First time we're ever gonna try to like can anything or preserve anything. First time we've ever had chickens. Like
That was
we're
like
just doing all the things.
That was a big game changer for us because our first year, I mean, we had pretty decent yield, but we used, for like the best compost you could buy because if we didn't have any, and then we didn't really have the best outcome. My wife like dove into like gardening YouTube. And like,
Oh,
you guys
boy.
got to do this. You have to do this. We got to buy this. So we did all that last year, and last year was insane. And this year, the same thing. It's like it's going crazy. It's just the different stuff that the plants need. All the different nutritional things that they need.
Gator
minerals
It's got
and all
what
that
the
stuff.
plants need. Was it idiocracy?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so we take all. I bag all the grass that I mow
Yeah.
and then mulch the garden with it to
Mhm.
kind of. So I'm like, maybe there's a little bit of
Something in
compost
there.
factor there, and
Right.
it helps take away the weeds and all those things. But we
Yeah.
haven't like. I'm just trying to maintain my shit at this point because it's so crazy.
Oh yeah, it gets crazy. So what we did after the first year, like the weeding, there's no way to keep on top of it. We both work full time, and
It's so hard.
so we used like a ground cover.
Mm.
We used ground cover and cut holes in it and put our plants in there. It works amazing. It's perfect. So
How
That's
do
what
you
we
know
did
like
this
the
year.
square footage? I know we're getting real garden geeky here.
I know,
but
right?
it's fine. I'm here for it. This is my fucking show.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
We have raised beds. We have 3 raised beds
Okay.
that are 4 by 16, I think.
Oh, so it's pretty.
And then we have a
decent.
bunch of stuff in like planters too.
Okay, I
Like we
gotcha.
put onion. We got onions this year because we've never done onions. And she threw them in a planter. She's like, I don't think I was supposed to do that. I think I was probably supposed to put those in the ground or whatever. I was like, well, we'll see what happens. Like,
Yeah. Well,
it's
sometimes
like $2. Who
the
cares?
stuff's so
you know?
cheap. Like,
Yeah.
the experiment is half the
Exactly. Yeah.
the experience you get out of it is worth the money. But
Right.
yeah, we've done onions before too, but this year they've gone crazy.
Really?
It's the first year we've ever gotten like, I haven't even like harvested them yet, and they're just these giant things. And I'm like, I don't know I must have done something right.
She pulled one the other day. She's like, I just kind of want to see like where we're at. And
Right.
it was like this big, you know? So I was
Yeah.
like, well, we got some time.
Yeah.
But I remember like going to, so when I moved back, I lived in Cleveland for a little bit, met her, moved up to Cleveland. I moved back and I lived with my grandpa, I was calling Pappy. I lived with Pappy and he brought home this white onion that like sticks in my head because it was the best onion I've ever had in my life from, I think like his girlfriend's neighbor or whatever, like brought it over to him and we cut it up and we ate it. And I'm like, that's like the white
Benchmark.
horse. Yeah. Like I gotta get to that eventually.
It's
so
my garlic.
yeah, exactly. And it was amazing. So we got I think the same kind of onions. I'm sure that guy's long dead,
Right.
but yeah, we got the same thing. So we're hoping that that's what it turns into, but we don't know.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to that, like, you realize that the authenticity of what whether it be what you're doing in, you know, your career and your life, or what you're drinking or what you're eating, like, it continues to amaze me how fake our daily life has become.
Right.
You look on social media, like all these,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
But like, just even the food that you eat, like, you
Mhm.
realize that people talk about, oh, like, oh, it's so much better, this, that, like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you experience it, you're like,
Whoa.
wait, these two things are the same thing? Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
is this even possible?
Yeah.
It's like, and you realize, like, with like going back to the chickens, like, I've heard people, like, there was somebody just said to me the other day that they have, like, they figured out how to raise a chicken for meat to the point where they're able to butcher it in like 45 days.
That's crazy.
I'm like, how the fuck is that even
That's
possible?
so crazy.
Like, I've had these chickens for what, 6 months? Roughly? No, it was close to, well, it's like 5 months now. And like, they look big, but you
Mhm.
take all their feathers off, there's nothing there. There's
Right.
still these tiny little things. Like, there's no, how many, you know, steroids and all the things.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know, I'm not necessarily against steroids, but in my
Right.
food, you know, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want them in my food. Like,
Right.
how, like, what are you doing to these creatures to make them grow that big, that fast?
Dude,
Like,
and those things are nasty looking. Like I've seen, I was watching something about that. Like the type of chicken you're talking about. I don't remember what they call them.
I don't know either, but someone said, I was
But-
like, I don't want nothing to do with it. 'cause
Dude,
that-
they looked horrible. I'm like, and that's what people are eating all the
Yeah.
time. Like, they
Well, so
look
we even talk about like
nasty.
eggs. You go through the egg aisle and like, you're like, all right, here's the normal eggs that most people buy. Well, then there's like, oh, this is cage free. You think, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
But have you seen cage free farms?
Right.
It's thousands upon thousands of chickens jammed into a
a
barn.
big barn. Yeah,
Like, yeah, they're cage free, but they're not moving anywhere. And then
Right.
someone like, oh, it's free range. Well, what's free range mean? Well, free range is, well, they just have access to a pasture.
right,
Like, that doesn't mean it's a good pasture.
right.
Like, I put I call them chicken runs around
Yep.
the coop. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I built this thing to hold up to like 20 plus chickens.
Yeah,
I overdid it.
yeah.
I have 7. And I'm like, and when I put them in there, the grass in their run was like taller than they were. Like, it was because I just let it overrun. I'm like, I'm gonna take the weed whacker in there and clean it out. It's dirt now.
Yeah.
They destroyed the fuck out of it. So like,
Oh yeah.
a space that's okay to have 20, 7 of them destroyed.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
What's
Yeah,
10,000 of them gonna do?
yeah. So like, you realize like these labels and things, you know, companies are putting on things like, all right, what does this really mean? Like,
Right.
are we really getting a nutritional value from this? I don't know.
I've got a crazy chicken story for you. Growing up, my dad decided that we were gonna get chickens. My mom was like, well, you know, some of them, you know, just get some, you know, we'll kind of see how it goes.
Told
whatever.
over to it.
He came home with 50 chickens.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
50 chickens.
Yeah. We had eggs constantly. You know, it was ridiculous. We had one attack my sister, and it died the same day. Like, he's like, all right, we were pretty
Looks
young.
like we're having chicken for dinner.
Yeah, we did. We had it that night. And then something, I mean, sad happened where they all caught some kind of disease.
Oh, no.
And I think there was like 6 left, but they were dying so fast that we couldn't get them out of there
Oh,
in time.
no.
Then they started like eating their dead. So my dad, this is like one of his favorite stories of all time, sent me because he got grossed out by dead stuff. I'm legitimately 10 10, 12 years old at the oldest. So I went with a wheelbarrow and a shovel, crying, pulling all these chickens out. I loaded a wheelbarrow up, and like I said, we were up in the country, so we like burned our trash. I had to walk these stinking, rotting chickens to a burn pile and burn them at like 10 years old.
Neighbor's like, you guys barbecuing over there?
Dude,
what's going on?
It was, and he's
that's
like,
brutal.
that's so bad. I should have never had you do that. You know, and like I'll tell people that occasionally, and they like look like, you need therapy, bro. Like that's not good. Like you shouldn't have done that. You know, but that was always like one of my jobs. Is like we always had like German shepherds that would kill stuff all the time,
Right.
and that was just one of my things. I always had to take care of dead animals because my dad couldn't do it. It was
that's
it's so messed up, but
I feel like that's a sitcom and someone like wrote that
for
character.
sure,
dude.
Yeah,
I know
for sure.
that's my childhood was wild.
I'll have to say, I guess silver linings. At least you got a good lesson on life and death, right? You know?
Oh yeah, nothing really bugs me anymore.
Yeah, well, it's really good. That's one thing. Have you seen the Nature is Metal?
Mm-hmm.
I follow that, like, cause not for like a grotesque factor,
like a gore porn thing,
but it's a good reminder.
Yeah,
that while we're sitting here, you know, in a podcast room, being able to put this out to people and drinking ridiculous, you know, not ridiculous amounts of bourbon, but being able to try all these like fancy things that we're able to, you know, and having the conveniences of having a supercomputer in our pockets and being able to go to the store and pick up slightly inflated food,
slightly inflated bland food.
Yeah. But like, it's a good reminder that like, you know, nature's still out there. The earth is still doing what it's doing. Nature's still going to be Mother Nature, regardless of, you know, how comfortable you think you are in your home with your air conditioning, which I love.
Yeah.
But it's a good grounding effect.
Right.
We need that. Like, guess what? Like, animals die. Animals eat each other. Sometimes animals will eat each other, even their own kin.
Oh yeah. And
eventually we're going to die.
Yeah.
And that's basically the synopsis of life.
Right.
Like, and maybe somebody might eat you at some point
if
things continue to inflate.
Yeah. Like I get shit on, like people at the shop will give me shit for like not wanting to go in the ocean. I'm like, bro, that's monster soup.
Yeah, I am not an apex predator there.
Yeah, I'm not going to do well there. I can swim enough to survive, but it comes to anything small even would destroy you. It's not even a question, you know? So
that's not my environment.
No, it's like these idiots in like Montana will go up and try to pet a bison.
Oh,
I'm like,
there's been a lot of that recently.
There's a ton of that. I'm like, they don't care about you. Yeah, you think they're cute and cuddly. They don't like you, you know? I've always been like, nature doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I don't understand that.
Well, I think there's been a lot of as much as we talk about, you know, there's a lot of conversation about desensitizing of our populace with like video games and movies and all these things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I like partaking in those things, you know, video games and movies and just as much. But then we also have to recognize that there is a big desensitization that has happened with like stuffed animals and Disney.
Yeah.
The teddy bear.
Yeah, exactly. Teddy bears, like all these things that like in Disney movies that like Beauty and the Beast. Oh,
right.
No, guess what? In real life, that beast is going to fucking eat your head off.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, oh, you look like food.
Right.
Or you're endangering my child that's with me.
Right.
And I'm a 1,500-pound bison.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. Like you like there's like, it can lift up cars.
Right.
And you think it's just like, oh, well, it knows I'm a person and it knows I'm not, it's so soft and cuddly.
Yeah.
Like the fuck too.
Yeah.
Like that's what blows my mind.
Yeah.
Is like,
people are like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. It's, and like all the thing that killed, one that I love is, like some of the areas where they're like, they outlaw, protecting yourself essentially from animals.
Right.
Like, well, you can't have a gun. You can't shoot these, you know, mountain lions. You can't shoot these bears. Like, even if they're in your yard, like all these different things. Like I don't know if you saw, just recently, there's been a black bear, multiple black bear sightings real close to here.
Yeah.
And there's never been, which I'm cool with. Like, you know what? I'm on the boat of let them come in.
Yeah.
See, that's what my kids this morning. They wanted to go outside. They're like, Daddy, we don't want to go outside. There's bears out there. And I'm like, you'll be fine. And
Yeah.
I'm like, as long as you don't say, hey, Daddy, I'm riding the freight tractor, we'll be fine.
Don't approach the bear. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. I'm like, it's a black bear. It's probably gonna run when it sees you.
Yeah.
And if
It
you
was a
see it,
Kodiak
maybe
or
you should
grizzly,
run.
Different story.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you should try to get some shelter.
I'd always tell them if there's something threatening, don't run.
Right.
I'm like, walk away.
Right.
I'm like, keep your eye on it and continue to face it. And I was like, make sure you don't leave your sister behind. And I was like,
Yeah.
and then come get Daddy, and I'm gonna fuck it up.
slowly find shelter.
Right.
Back away.
Get away.
From it. Don't approach it. I saw a video the other day of, I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was in Washington or no, it might not. It wasn't there. I can't remember where it was at, but it was on some beach, and it was kind of like a rocky beach. It wasn't like a like a Mexico beach or anything like
Right.
that. But it was like some kind of rocky beach. But there was a bunch of people out laying out, doing the beach thing, right?
Yeah.
And these two big fucking seals came
Another one. Yeah.
just rolling through it. I'm like, yeah, get you some.
Exactly.
Like,
I love seeing that.
Yeah, I love. Because
I
you know
love it.
what? Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's either us or them.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna let them do that, then I'm here for it. Like, let's
Right.
roll.
Did you see I think it was an orangutan that guy got kind of close to,
no.
and it pulled him into the thing. And he was like he was holding him up.
Yeah,
with
and he was
one
trying to. He was
hand
like
sideways.
Yeah, and he was like, it was at the one up against the cage. And
Yeah.
like, he was like grabbing his legs and his hands, and you could see just like you could see the fear just like radiating from this guy.
Of course, yeah.
And like the monkey's just kind of like
Just kinda holding
just
him.
grabbing him with one hand. He get one hand he just grab another foot, and he was just kind of like playing with
Yeah.
it. It was like, oh god, like
Yeah. You don't, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize,
how strong they
how
are.
strong they are.
Like a chimp.
No, is
Like a
it?
tiny little chimp,
Mm.
man. I'm
Oh
saying,
yeah,
I'm
oh yeah,
saying,
yeah.
is like stronger than us, man. Like probably all three of us combined.
Yeah,
It's
those things are-
crazy.
Well, it's like I remember hearing that story. It was it's probably been at least a good 6 years ago by
So the
now.
lady's face.
The
they
lady
got-
that had the
Oh, God.
orangutan as a
just
pet,
ripped her face.
and then it was
off.
like
yeah.
one day just realized, you know what, I'm just gonna
I'm done.
eat you.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it a lady visiting her? I
Oh, maybe
thought?
that's what it was. But then it
Yeah.
ended up killing both of them, didn't it? Or like
Well, the one lady had the facial surgery, I think, and it was gnarly looking.
God, just
Yeah.
ate her face off. Like, guess what? These animals
You know,
don't.
they're wild
Yeah,
animals.
Right.
They don't have metacognition. They're
Right.
they're not. They don't
Yeah.
have the awareness that like you're just
Ugh.
some like.
Yeah. And I don't know. Like we went to, my wife and I went to Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
And we're like, first day, we're just going to kind of chill. Next day, we want to go to Smoky Mountains, like do some hiking and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the first day we went to Dollywood. My wife wanted to go to Dollywood. We went to Dollywood. And then next day we're going to go. So we get to our condo and turn on the TV. We've been driving or tired or whatever. The first story is about this bear that killed this dude in the same exact place we were going to go. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'll keep my Wayne County ass out of like the real bears and stuff like that. So we did, like, we went up, I think we saw like the second highest place.
So you didn't go to Klingman's Dome?
Yeah, that's where we went.
Oh, you went to Klingman's
Yeah,
Dome.
that's the
Okay.
second. I think Mount Mitchell's the highest east of
Okay.
Yeah, I
Mississippi
think you're right.
in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went to Klingman's Dome.
Was the weather good for you?
Yeah,
That's
it was
I've been to
nice.
that multiple times.
I loved it.
It's
It was
super cool.
it was a lot steeper than I expected it because I was like,
That-
that's a
that
mile.
last
I'll
climb.
be fine. And then like halfway up, I'm like, I'm gonna die. I
Yeah,
don't.
It's
But then you see like 80-year-old dudes coming back, and you're like, if they can do it, I can do it. You know,
you
it's
just gotta
like,
take your time. Yeah, it's-
dude, that was rough, but it was worth it. It was
that's
super cool.
Yeah, that's a really neat spot. I've
That
always
was super
anybody
cool.
that's ever mentioned going down there, I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to make a trip to Klingman's Dome as long as the weather's nice.
The parking was a pain in the ass, but
Oh yeah, you must have been there when it was pretty busy.
it was super busy. Yeah, there was no parking there.
Oh wow.
She dropped me off because I had to piss super bad. So she dropped me off and she kept going back down the
Right.
mountain and parked and walked the whole way up to find me. And then we walked, I think it's like about a mile up. But it was really cool to be able to see, like, I think it was like 4 or 5 states all at the same time.
Yeah,
That was really
the
neat.
panoramic view of that is just
It was
phenomenal.
super cool,
And it's
yeah.
neat too because the Appalachian Trail
Yeah.
runs right
Yeah.
through the bottom of it.
Yeah. I'm
I
like,
remember the very first time we went there for a honeymoon.
yeah, that's kind of
a
essentially
long
was our
time.
honeymoon. Yeah.
But it was like we were coming down from, up in the dome or whatever,
Mhm.
the observation tower. We're coming back down. There's like this guy like washing his socks and like washing his clothes like on the side because he was a hiker that was doing the Appalachian Trail, and it
okay.
comes right across there. So it was like he's down there taking a break, and it's
Yeah.
like this is kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
it
was fun.
It's a neat place though. We went back there just recently with the kiddo, and it was the first time we saw a bear down there. But it was,
we didn't see a bear the whole time. I was hoping to see a bear.
Yeah,
from a distance.
That was the only time. Well, it was at our
cabin or whatever.
We went on the back deck, and it was like a hotel we stayed at this time. It was like kind of hotelish.
Yeah.
But it was like this little black bear that was like trying to get in the trash because it knew.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is really cool, but simultaneously like kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this should go out, like, it should be out there like fucking eating something that's alive.
Right.
Not like digging through the trash cans, but like it was cool to like, oh, that's a bear. Like we're sitting there, and the daughter's like, there's a bear out here. We're like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, no, seriously, there's a bear. So we walk out. I'm like, oh shit, that's a bear.
You're right.
That's the only time I've ever seen one. But
yeah,
I don't want to run out. I don't want to run into one in the wild.
No. There's like that video of those people sitting around like a picnic table, and a baby bear comes up, and they're like hanging out. I'm like, what are you doing? Like that, if a mama bear comes around,
fuck.
Yeah, you're in bad shape real quick.
You end up like those people at the bisons.
Yeah, exactly.
Just getting.
Yeah. Did these people never watch The Revenant?
I just don't see. I don't see how you could feel. Is it just plain stupidity that you could feel that comfortable around a beast that's that big?
I don't know if it's that or like almost like the entitlement kind of thing. Like, oh, it's not gonna do anything to me. You know? Like, I don't know if it's one of those kind of things. They're just
too many teddy bears as a child.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I don't know, because I know like even
ban teddy bears
should have had to burn more chickens, and they would have fucking known.
Exactly.
Right? See, that's what they need. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, even there's like when I get around cows, I'm like, look, I know cows are docile.
Right.
I've never been like, I've been in some pastures with some bulls. They've never messed with me, but like you're like 10 times my weight.
Yeah.
Bro,
I feel uncomfortable.
Right I got a cow story. It wasn't good.
I got a horse story after your cow story.
A horror story or a horse? Oh, horse story.
Oh, we'll take whatever story. We'll take whatever story. No, I had the kids at was it Majestic Meadows, and there's a bunch of llamas and shit like that there. They got kangaroos and stuff you can pet and play with, and there's some. I think they were Highland cattle.
Those are cool, yeah.
Yeah. And so we got over there, and they're real docile, and the kids were going over there, and they were kind of petting them, and I think my kids were like, let me think here, maybe like had just turned 4 and just turned 2.
Okay.
And
it's pretty small.
Yeah, they were tolerating them like real well, and they were like, kids were being, super polite. And my youngest one went over there, and she was petting it, and dude, all of a sudden, dude, this thing just bucked her, and dude, she went flying.
Oh no!
It was like the Rick James skit when he kicked him in the chest and he went flying back.
Nice.
Dude, she was flying, bro. It was like an airbag, just. And I was like simultaneously like, holy shit, whilst also like, holy shit, that was actually pretty cool. She went flying. But I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Because I'm like, I'm going to pull my pistol out, and we're going to have to fucking buy a whole cow.
Right. And then putting something down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, it's the same kind of thing as like, I told somebody this once. We're talking similar situations where I'm like, you know what? I don't ever necessarily want it to happen. But if I get to watch a kid go over the handlebars of a bicycle, you better believe I'm fucking enjoying every second of it.
100%. Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to happen.
100%.
I'm going to love every second of it. As long as they're okay, you know.
Like growing up, so when I grew up on the country, we had people move in, kind of build a house by our house. They ended up being like big horse people from Texas. So we were walking the one horse with the old man, the old hard ass guy from Texas, from their property to my neighbor's property, which was his son. So we're walking this horse across, and I'm not around horses, that much. I had a little bit of familiarity. I
know what they look like.
Yeah, like I would go and clean out stalls and help him do hay and stuff, But we're walking this horse across, and he kept telling me, he's like, get over, like, get out of its way. I was like, okay. So I got out, I was getting out of its way. And finally, I don't know why, but this horse bit my shoulder. It hurt so bad. But I'm like, I can't cry in front of this hard ass guy from Texas. So I'm like trying not to cry, but I'm like looking away. He's like, that hurt, didn't it? He he knew exactly what happened. I'm like, yeah, it hurt a lot. Dude, I was like bruised and like red marks.
I'm surprised you didn't just pull Conan and just punch that motherfucker right in the face.
Dude, that's probably
so bad. Dude, that's terrible. That's
probably one of my favorite movie scenes ever.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Is when Arnold just knocks the camel out.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So those animals can be nasty. I remember the first time I realized how mean donkeys can be.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know how like territorial and stuff they can be. I remember I was going on to some farmer's property and he was, he's like, yeah, you can go back there. He's like, there's a donkey back there. Just, be cautious of him. And I'm like, oh, okay.
All right.
And I went back there and I was on a 4-wheeler, but I had to go through these couple of gates and I got to the last gate and the donkey was just standing there in the open gate. And he just staring at me. And I'm like, okay, like you gonna move or
right.
And then he started like doing the whole like it looked like a bull, like doing like the scraping the ground. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to mess with this thing. Like, and then I go to find out like donkeys can be really fucking mean.
Yeah.
Like killing snakes and don't they kill like cougars and stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like a lot of times like it's almost like the rooster of the chicken pack. Like they'll buy like farmers will have them just to help
protect
you
could put a donkey in a rear naked? You think your arms are big enough to
No.
Get it around?
No.
There? Dig like one single.
I don't even know where their veins are or their jugulars and
their carotids.
Their carotid is their carotid to be there. Yeah. I don't know where their veins are at to be able to cut that blood flow off.
Or if you could squeeze hard enough to cut that blood flow off.
I don't know. They're stout.
They're stout.
They're real because those are the ones they take on like mountain adventures and stuff because they're smart enough to be like, fuck you, human. You're being dumb right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating too.
It is.
When you hear like those stories, I don't know. I've heard quite a few different stories. Like they'll like places where they'll take donkeys instead of horses because they're safer riding the donkeys because the donkeys will be like, no, this is dumb. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But like horses, you could literally just like
run
them off of a cliff and they wouldn't care.
Right.
It's like, oh, maybe we should give these animals a little more respect. Plus they could kick my face in pretty easily. Yeah. You come to realize that humans are the strongest thing about us is our brains.
Oh yeah.
Well, some humans.
Some humans.
The potentially strongest thing about humans is
potentially.
Yeah. Because when it comes to the animal kingdom, we're really not.
No.
Actually, I watched a Joe Rogan one time where he was talking about which like guys like all like us, we never think about how women feel like as far as like being threatened. He's like, that's why you see like a lot of like guys like big guys or strong guys or like manly men that are afraid of sharks or bears or whatever because that's like the only thing that can kill you.
Right.
He's like, but if you think about like chicks,
the acknowledgement,
that's like everybody. You know what I mean?
You know what I say to that?
It's a weird thing to think about.
What the Indians call a good death. Just fucking bring it.
Right.
I don't want it to happen, but dude, I'm going to embrace it full fucking force.
If it happens, I'm going down swinging. You know,
at least I went out with the animal kingdom, the proper, you know.
What was that? Legends of the Fall at the very end?
Yeah.
Fights the bear again.
Yeah.
Oh, takes him.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah, it is we forget that how other people perceive the world around them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a weird thing to think, yeah. Where he, like, the way he put it was like, imagine you're walking around with like 10 grand cash, just like walking around like this. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, like I'm gonna take that. Right. You know what I mean? But as dudes, like especially like bigger guys and strong guys, I never think about like I don't go into a room and I'm like, who in here could kick my ass? You know what I mean? Like I don't think that typically.
Right.
Or, you know, who in here could overpower me or do whatever they wanted.
Right.
It was just like, I never looked at like life that way. You know, I've never had to think that way. So it was an interesting thing that I've kind of remembered sometimes because you see like, you know, you're out and the girl's kind of like freaked out. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it makes sense now because you never looked at it before. I'd be like, what the hell are you afraid of? We're in Wooster, Ohio. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was just a thing.
No, it's an interesting perspective, especially coming from that. If you could put yourself in that thought of like how is somebody else perceiving this this interaction,
or
this time this point in time that
Right.
I am like differently.
Yeah.
Because like one of the kind of, but obviously not quite as authentic of that is I remember the first time. Oh, it was an early episode. He would probably be like episode like 8, I think. It's Mike Manchuk. You know,
Yeah,
Mike?
I know of him. I don't know him personally, but
Yeah. So like it was the first time I met him,
Mhm.
and so he's the jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu,
He
yeah,
owns
yeah.
a jiu-jitsu gym around here. Obviously highly skilled
Yeah,
individual,
Yeah.
and he's not a big man,
No.
but he's super nice. He's all these things.
Mhm.
He's basically a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so cute. You just want to hold him and like
Rub his
like
head.
oh yeah, rub his head. And really, he's a cute guy.
Yeah.
But like you realize like this, I think he probably weighs what 170 pounds,
If
something like
yeah,
that.
It's 165 to 170 pounds.
Yeah. So you like realizing like, oh, if this guy wanted to, he could do whatever he wanted
Yeah.
to with me,
Yeah.
with my body. Like I almost have him outweighed by 100 pounds or
Mhm.
whatever at this point. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
No.
So like, that's just a very small window
Right.
of being able to realize like, oh, there's people out there that
Yeah.
I've never even thought of. Like
Yeah.
you had sitting across from this guy, like, but he's also so nice and everything else. But it's like if you wanted to, it's like sitting across from that chimpanzee.
Yeah, well,
Right.
dude, or
If this
like,
little tiny thing wanted to, it could eat my face off.
Right.
dude,
Right.
old grizzled dudes, like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Dad
yeah.
strength.
but like, I don't even
Old man
mean
strength.
strength, dude. Like guys that like, dude, they're just fucking shooters.
No.
Like, dude, they're just shooters, man, and like they're old, and you just don't think anything of them. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that dude could like point shoot and drop you and double tap you in like
Yeah.
2 seconds. And you
Yeah.
just wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
That comes into tools, being able to utilize them appropriately.
yeah.
That's a
Right.
whole different ballgame there too.
Experience, Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Good segue into guns.
Ooh, I do like. Hey, yeah,
Yeah,
guns.
there you go.
You know,
So like Colin Noir shirt.
yeah. I heard a
He's
conversation
awesome.
with him recently. That he said like because a lot of his shirts are somewhere a Colin Noir shirt right now that who is we've talked about him a handful of times, but he's a lawyer who is very focused on Second Amendment type
Mhm.
things, and he's a big gun nut.
Yep.
But he has a T-shirt line that's to some people it could be considered inflammatory.
Right.
But he even said he's like that's the point. He's like
Yeah.
the point of my shirts is he's like I want to make my shirts bold enough that people recognize them and bring them up
Mm-hmm.
to have the decent, educated, like thought out conversation about guns in this
Right.
country. So I was
Right.
like, oh, like that's a really good point. Like there's nothing necessarily like inflammatory about the presentation of the shirts and what they say,
Right.
but it's just enough to probably get under people's skin
Mm-hmm.
to go, what's that?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like it's sometimes like it's kind of sad, but you almost have to sometimes, in this day and age, like you almost have to get under people's skins just a tiny little bit, enough for them to react,
Right.
to be able to have the productive conversation.
Right.
But the productive conversation part is,
Yeah.
That's the hard
That's
part.
a hard part. for
especially
sure.
with everything going on.
For
But
sure.
It's it's like how do you do that? Like without recognizing where someone's coming from, and I don't know, but
Just invite them on the show and you give them some good bourbon.
yeah, we tried, but there's some people that, regardless of the invite,
They're bitches.
no, I don't want to say that. Not,
I did.
No,
I did.
no. So I'll say this: there's people that I understand that I've invited a bunch of people on,
Right.
and a handful of. There's like a
Well, when you don't have Google to back up what you're saying, you don't have the
Oh.
echo chamber.
Of
course,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
You're
no,
not
there's
told
like,
what to say.
Yeah, well, there's
you
like a
don't have your own
second
thought.
Yeah, right. There's a
Yeah.
list of people that I have in my mind that I've invited on the show multiple times. Some of them are just what Tony's talking about. Just
Yeah.
whatever.
I'll repeat it if you want.
You can if you want to. They're just there are some people that I've invited. They're just bitches.
Yeah.
But there are people that I've invited that I think it falls into a bunch of different categories. Whether it's intimidating, which I
Mhm.
get that. Like I said, one of the most intimidating things I
Yeah,
do.
bro.
is
But if you're willing to
myself.
spew something on social media, like how intimidating would be? Like, oh, why don't you come here?
Come in
then?
and talk about it.
If you're willing to blast it out to that many people, like let's blast it out to
Yeah, but
2 more people.
It's a lot
and then-
easier just to go like type on your little phone and go, hey, send. You know.
That sounds cowardlessly.
I'm not
to
saying
me.
it's not.
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to make sure there's people that I've invited to the show that don't blast ridiculous shit
Sure,
on social media.
sure.
They just, whether
for their job or for their
their viewpoints, they don't feel like their viewpoints would align with how we are. And I would imagine, I would like to imagine that that's because they haven't listened.
Okay, I was gonna say
So they
because
just-
dude, I don't like. There's no preconceived like. I'm willing to listen to anybody, and like,
Oh, absolutely.
I can be convinced of certain things, like, and that's why we have people on the show to have these open and honest conversations, like you always say.
Yeah, but some people, I get it. Like I've spent, how many hours we have out there? Hundreds at this point. But like I get some people like they don't have time to listen to my stupid fucking show. Like I get it.
Right.
So like I get if they're like, that's not. They feel like they don't really belong.
Right.
I hope to change that. And I just continue to, be nice to them. But there's some people that are just bitches. There's some people that are just, yeah. There's all ends of the spectrum, I think.
Yeah. I encounter that a lot, like at the shop with, it's such a balancing act of how to, like, I'm sure a lot of people think I'm exactly the same as they are when I'm not like them at all. But I kind of have to, it's hard to be super hard nosed about everything because I'm not real. I'm pretty open. I'm kind of more middle centrist, like libertarian type more than anything. And I've had one person in particular I went to high school with, really good dude, very left, and we've had productive conversations together. But there's not a lot of people that come into the shop because of where we live, but that are left that I won't even bring up anything.
Sure.
Because it's impossible, And a lot of that just breaks down to business, you kind of have to play both sides a little bit. But when it truly comes down to it, pretty open to everything, there's certain things like Second Amendment and guns, for example, that I'm hard fast that there's like, no, you don't mess with that. You leave that alone. And a lot of people will ask me like, what do you think about the new anyone can carry law that just passed?
Constitutional carry,
yeah. And I'm like, I don't think it's perfect, but it makes sense. And they're like, how does it make sense? The people that are mad, I'm like, anyone can open carry at any time. So how's that any different than concealed carry?
Right.
Well, they can go into this place and they can do this thing and this illegal thing. I'm like, people that are going to do illegal things are going to do illegal things. They're not going to go, oh, wait, it's illegal. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, and then you get in that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it is a funny, I didn't really even, because I've thought about this a lot, but I haven't really thought about that. The constitutional carry that the law just passed in Ohio. Well, I guess it's been last month or so
went into effect,
that you can conceal carry without a permit.
Right.
Well, before Ohio was a open carry state, which you could legally open carry a gun without a permit. So really, what's the difference? You're going to have maybe more people legally carrying a gun that didn't before. Other than that, like it's one of those things where there's obviously the discussion is incredibly nuanced.
Yeah.
The whole gun thing. Because I think they're
complex.
Yeah, it's
really
incredibly complex. Yeah. Like, do I think we should do something about the gun violence and the mental state that a lot of those things happen around? Absolutely.
Right.
But do I think, banning the people that are, legally and law abiding citizens that have guns, carry guns, all these things, like, why are we going to punish them now? Like, that doesn't make any sense because we have literally more guns than people in this country.
Oh, yeah. No.
And so that means the vast, vast, vast majority, like what we're talking 99.999% of guns. I'm even using the terminology. 99.9% of guns don't do any illegal thing. Like guns never do an illegal thing.
Right.
It's the person using them. But regardless,
Right.
like, so we have like, so is the problem really the guns, or is it the people that get a hold of them?
Right.
Okay. So maybe let's focus on that. Like, okay,
Exactly.
I'm down to have that conversation.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
Like for sure. So it's,
I'm very not a pro big government guy. I don't love big government. But I
haven't done so
feel
well.
like there's something that needs to happen with mental health. There's got to be some avenue or something. Like I would be okay with some sort of funding going to some kind of mental health.
So I mean, that was that newest bill that was passed. Did
yeah.
you guys see that?
No.
Yeah. To an extent.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, not to an extent. It was like there's a large portion of funds that went to mental health.
Nationally or locally or
Who's
state?
nationally? I'm
National.
not saying they're actually going to go
That's
to
the
the
problem.
correct
That's the
places.
problem.
Yeah, and
That's
California spends millions and millions
On
and millions
homeless,
of
yeah.
dollars on homelessness
Yeah,
each year, and they
yeah.
keep
Yeah,
getting
no,
more
no.
homelessness.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
not
and
saying
that's
it's
the
actually
problem.
going
right,
to
and
go
that's the
there.
problem. That's
Yeah, there needs to be a
the
level
problem.
of accountability for where these things go.
the government.
Absolutely.
Some sort of a budgetary,
Yeah.
report that comes out that says, "Oh, here's where this is going." It'd be
Right.
sweet if that's what happened for our taxes too. you know?
Yeah. That's a whole other
Yeah, well,
issue.
that's where it kind of comes down to the government thing. Is like
Yeah.
if we could have an itemized report of where our taxes go, like actually go,
Truly,
not like
yeah.
To this program or that program.
Right.
It's where does this money track? Hey, you know what? Maybe with blockchain coming in, the government will just happen to be honest enough that their CBDC will actually track where the taxes go.
I mean, they won't release it to us.
No.
Oh, you don't think
yeah.
they're going to do? You don't think they're going to do
They
that?
sure as hell won't release it to us.
No.
But like that's the thing. Like if we could track, like, all right, this is literally where every single tax dollar, like this tax dollar, went to. I can't even think of any other names now. Damn it, that would have been good. Like some military contractor to make bombs that we're going to go sell to Al Qaeda
Right.
because that's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah.
That's or
Blackwater?
yeah, this dollar went to support a Blackwater operation to overthrow some government that John Bolton set up.
Right.
And
Yeah,
did you
it's
see that? Did you see that clip?
Hilarious. Yeah.
Did you see it?
I didn't see that
Oh, you
clip.
didn't see. So
Hilarious.
they're talking about January 6th committee and the coup,
Oh,
everything like
God.
that. And they were like, well, you have to be.
Come on down.
Yeah, well, it was real short, but it was like they're like, well, you have to be like they're talking to John Bolton. And if you don't know who he is, you just go look him up because I don't have the time to.
Michael.
not Michael.
Oh,
Michael.
sorry.
Michael Bolton. That's a cool name. Yeah, it wasn't until that no talent ass clown started winning Grammys. I'm glad you guys both got that. Okay, but he was like, they said something about January 6th being a coup, this, that, and like how you don't have to be super smart to plan a coup. And John Bolton was like, well, no, I disagree. Like, as being someone that has, constructed or, ran coups, not in this country. But you
Allegedly.
you do have to
Allegedly, yeah.
he basically he was like, you do have to be intelligent because there's a lot of things that go into place. He basically just like admitted that like, yeah,
Right.
I've been a part of overthrowing governments from the inside out in other countries
Yeah.
for our purposes.
Yeah.
Shit, that's just psyops in general, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it was like, he just said it and it was like,
just like it was no big deal.
yeah.
I
Like,
was like,
how
what?
is that like the anchor not be like,
Yeah. Wait a minute.
what
just
you would,
say what I-
can you
Yeah.
repeat
Can you
that?
elaborate on that? a
Yeah.
little bit?
Right.
Right.
Because like that's all the things that like if you've done any amount of research, like, well, it happens.
Oh yeah.
Like Gaddafi and Saddam and like,
Oh yeah.
So
we
it's like-
want something in that country?
how, yeah, well, we
Let's just go kill someone and insert someone. new.
yeah.
Right.
If the dictator there doesn't jive with us, we'll just put a new one in.
Dude, talking about that, how strange is it that all these world leaders are resigning, or in Japan's case, former prime minister being killed? I heard I think
Probably
today.
resigning because they don't want to be killed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
heard
don't wanna
today.
be
I think
Clintons.
Italy's guys resigning too. It's like Italy, Nepal, Japan, and
Jesus.
somebody like all within like 2 weeks. The prime minister of the UK. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
what's going
Boris.
on? Yeah,
Yeah, well, he's a fucking ass.
well, I know, but it's just weird that it's like every week
Christ,
there's
yeah.
somebody else.
Too bad a couple more leaders don't take that.
well, at least MBS is still there, and
Well.
Biden's fist pumping him.
Oh yeah.
They do some real fucked up shit down there.
Saudi Arabia, is that what?
Yeah, Mohammed bin Salman.
Yeah.
I love. He's got so much flack over that. Like, why? Why would you expect any U.S. president to be any different? Like, Trump and his kids were like all cozy with Saudi Arabia too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's all they got the oil. It's all about the money.
Got that oil.
Got that good oil. Yeah, it's a wild world out there, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing that like drives me crazy the most about people that are so hardline, but really both ways.
Oh yeah.
Those fucking people don't give a shit about you. You know, they don't care.
Absolutely not.
So if you're like losing friends over this person's belief and that person's belief, like
or they're over their hatred of this president or that president,
like you think that guy cares about you? He's glad. Thanks for sticking up for me. You know, no one gives none of those people care.
Yeah, you think they're kicking 10% to the little guy? No, it's all going to the big guy.
Exactly. And that was like my big thing with the guy that comes in is, you know, we're both under that same understanding that that's like his beliefs, which is fine. Like I don't care, you believe whatever you want. Yeah. We're free nation to do what we want. But he's like, but I know, you know, like they don't give a shit. Like, they don't care about us.
Yeah, I'm good with everybody having their own belief. I think that's the way it should be.
Definitely.
As long as you don't hate me for mine.
Right.
Because as soon as you hate me for mine, like as long as I'm not infringing upon your, you know, ability to live a happy life, then why the fuck does it matter to you what I think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let's talk about it. If we want to talk about it intelligently, like, that's not even a word. Speaking of, but like, as long as we're able to have a decent conversation,
right?
Like, if you want to have a conversation, if not, then if there's not a conversation to be had, then I don't need to say anything at all.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, if you can't sit down and have a decent conversation with someone because of something like you don't like them anymore because they like Trump or they like Biden, whatever. And you're like, well, I don't want to be friends. And you're not that good of friends.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not going to be friends with you because you voted for some some politician
blue.
You voted for some guy that pretends to be some kind of designation that doesn't really mean anything anymore.
No.
Like, what?
No. And how many of those things that they on their campaign become a thing, you know?
None of them.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's wild. I remember this is the last the 2020 election was the first time that I ever really like fully got into like paying attention to politics, because before then, like I voted right when I turned 18, and then I didn't vote.
Oh, really?
After that, because it was like I was just like a nihilist. It was like, it doesn't matter. What's the point? Blah blah whatever.
Burn it all down.
Yeah, right.
It's like whatever. Like let it fucking go.
Yeah.
But then it was like, all right, 2020, we started this, and then so it was like, all right, like, well, I want to be. I guess I refound my curiosity,
right,
of more than just making knives and doing other things like that. It was like, all right, like I'm curious about all these things. Like I'm going to try to facilitate this.
Right.
And on the show, like, you know, people talk about different things and
you want to be informed.
So I want to be informed. I want to know, I want to at least be informed of my own opinions.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people aren't even informed on their own opinions.
No.
They don't even know why they think this certain things.
No.
So like, all right, I need to inform
CNN
myself.
Told me to say.
Yeah, or whatever.
Or
it is.
Fox News.
Yeah, or
it goes both ways.
Yeah, my uncle said this. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust. Never listen to your fucking uncle, especially if it's me. Word to the wise. But it was like one of those things. Like, all right, like, and the more and more like I started digging into stuff and learning about stuff, and I was like, this is all just a facade. It's all just some random bullshit. Like, but I think there are some things we can do at a community level.
Yeah.
In like a local level to try to, you know, not control, but make life better for people around us, for our community. Like, and that's where it starts, right? Like, we're not gonna be able to just change the president one day. Like, we're not gonna be able to change that system in 5 years, 10 years, like maybe never.
Yeah.
But you know what? They did it in 1776. They had a small community that said, yeah, we're not going to live by your rules anymore.
Yeah.
It said, we're not gonna take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe, hopefully, that's, if there's one thing that comes out of the technological age that's beneficial, I hope that it's connecting people. And I hope that like social, like the idea of social media is really neat.
Yeah.
And it could do a lot of good.
That's the most positive thing that I can think that came of that, really. you know, and there's a lot of negatives like the anxiety and the whatever, the constant exposure of stuff. And that's
if you
the thing.
allow it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, people are like, people are dying all the time. Like, well, no, you just see it all the time.
People are dying all the time.
Yeah. It's
literally.
a constant thing, but you never heard about it. You know, you focused on your family and like your little community and whatever. You didn't hear about, and it's getting into the whole media thing. It's convenient then when they're trying to push a narrative that every single story you see is about that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, you know, hundreds of shootings happen every single day.
Doom and gloom, baby.
Yeah. I can't, I literally, people will come in and like, did you see that thing about this? I'm like, I don't watch news.
Sure didn't.
I cannot watch news. It just pisses me off. And it just puts you in a negative headspace.
It's hard.
I hate it.
I would say that within 9 months to a year after we started this, I went through a rough period because I was consuming so much to try to understand it all. Like I've finally found a good like balance for myself where I'm like, I'll scroll through and just kind of get a cursory, like, okay, this happened, boom, and then out of my mind.
That's exactly how I am.
But like the same way you just mentioned, I don't know if you saw that they are estimating the world's population, what it just hit the other week, 8 billion.
Whew.
So that's more than it's ever been.
Yeah. Slow down, Elon.
Yeah. Yeah. So like to that exact same point, like,
Mars.
guess what? Yeah. Like people are dying every single second of every single day.
Yep.
But you know what? More people are being born. Right now, there is a overall net positive of people that are surviving.
Right.
Like, so it's a good, try to keep it all in perspective.
The one thing I saw recently that I actually just read a book about this, or like, it was a fiction book, but it was kind of based on the same thing. Something about, I think it was a baby woolly mammoth that they pulled out of the permafrost. I'm like, why are you messing with that stuff? Like there's bacteria and viruses and stuff from so long ago that we have no defense for, you know.
Well, we're creating our own, so what's the difference?
Right. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't think we should mess with that stuff too much. And like the book that I read was, you know, the Russians in Siberia, the permafrost, and they developed a
that just happened recently too. They just found some baby. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
I know.
Like, it's super cool.
Like I read that book like a month ago, and then I see a news article about it. I'm like, holy shit.
This is a simulation. You caused it to happen.
I know.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Well, it's after CERN, you know. We're in the new.
See, he knows about it too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're gonna create a black hole somewhere to travel through space and time. Have you ever I think it was a show called The Fringe?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
It's pretty good. I think it's like I would say like 2014-ish show. So it's a little old. But it's a TV series. It's fictional, obviously. But it's like a sci-fi movie about like parallel universes.
Oh.
But they base and it's like an FBI like crime show along with it that's kind of like tied in, but like all these like crazy happenings and different things that happen that are like seemingly unreal.
Yeah.
But it's based off of like,
you mean like the Bigfoot at Craig's Gym?
No, no, more like
No, I
like quantum physics and like that type of like weird things that happen, but they base it all off of like basic like physics principles.
Right.
So it's like these theoretical principles that like if you took them down the rabbit hole deep enough that like theoretically like they're not unprovable, but they're not really provable either. So it's like, oh, like that's cool. I can get down with that because it's like, all right, let's have some fun. But pulling. I don't know. Either way, it's neat to like see some of those ideas that people have and like end up 20 years later. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's real,
right?
Like what Orwell, like, like time travelers.
So I'm just thinking about what you guys were saying about just like social media and people not wanting to come on the show, but people still having their opinions. And like, I'm just thinking about the problems we don't have.
A lot. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of problems we don't have anymore.
And how easy and just like instant gratitude shit is these days.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking back, 50 years, 100 years. And it's like, we would probably be too busy harvesting food
Oh,
or like trying to collect metal to send overseas for the war
right.
and we have just too much time and not enough real problems
Right.
that we're just making our own problems.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a good one. Side note, real quick. Just the other day, I was picking up some spices from the store. I had my daughter with me, and she was like, "It costs that much for a bottle? Like, this is like, those little bottles, like they're expensive." And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I was like, "Have you guys talk about the East India Trading Company in school
Oh,
yet?" And she
yeah.
was like, "No." I'm like, "We'll get there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that's what the whole
Yeah.
world ran off of.
Yeah.
Fucking cinnamon and shit.
Yeah. You need some salt.
Yeah,
Right.
To
salt.
fight some native tribes to
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
get past some pirates and some squalls and some squid. And
Yeah, how lucky are we?
crazy.
We were able to drive 5 minutes away from our house
Oh.
and have our selection of 10 different salts.
Right.
dude,
It's-
I think that goes back to something we've talked about, man. That I think like I wish that everyone had to serve in some capacity, man.
Yeah.
Be it like either the military or some sort of mission trip or something,
Peace
man.
Corps.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're in some other country and you realize like, oh shit, they don't have running water.
Right.
Like they're literally shitting and you're drinking it.
Right.
Or oh, they don't have antibiotics and they gotta cut. Or like they can't go to a grocery store. Like they have to fish for their food, they have to hunt for their food.
Yeah.
and,
Right.
like I don't know, man. We're just a very privileged society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one thing where you want to use the word privilege. There's no doubt that if you were born in the United States, you are privileged to some extent.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
even in
I
some
think-
of
I
the
think
worst.
you're in the 1% of the world. If you are born and live in the United States,
Yeah.
you're in the 1% of the richest population in the world.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, how often do you guys think that? Like, if I think this all the time when I'm like, oh man, and I'm about to complain about something, I'm like, whoa, hold on
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I have the right to
Yeah.
complain about that? And I'm like, and if I do, I guess I'm a bitch.
Right. Right. My father-in-law actually kind of instilled that into me because I would, back in the day, like I've been with my wife for 13 years. Like
Yeah.
I would, like we've had a good relationship, him and I have. And I would text him like, holy shit, it's hot. He's like, it's hotter in Iraq right now. And they've got our boys over there. I'm like, you're right. And then it just like helps you through the day. He's
Yeah.
like, that's what you tell yourself. You got to like remind yourself all the time that it's not really that bad.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you don't really do anything
and that
that sucky.
someone has it worse.
Someone always has it worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's to that point. Like it's one of those things where it's been said like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing
Those
that's
things
ever
ever
happened to you.
Yeah.
Which I get and I have sympathy for, but there's always somebody that has it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always somebody that has it worse. There's always somebody that's going to have it better.
Always.
So bitching about either or, what good does it do you?
Mm-hmm.
None that I've found yet.
Right.
Because I've bitched about plenty of things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so it's like, try to put some perspective on it. Yeah. Does it suck? Okay. Work through it. But guess what? Is it going to change anything? You're here. This is life. This is what it is. You are where you are. Like, and then I've always used that, like you guys said, like the recognition of shit. It could definitely be a lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
And within half a second,
Yeah.
I could think of multiple scenarios that are happening to people around the world that could be a bajillion times worse than
Yeah.
I have it. So you know what? Not too bad.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
this is okay.
I thought that this week. Like I try to get in to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I would wake up late and I'm like, son of a bitch. Then I'm mad. I'm like, wait. Like I'm choosing to go do this and I'm mad at myself more than anything. When there's people that are like, I have to walk 7 miles to get water. You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, like kind of bring it back down because I'm mad at myself more than anything. And then it just kind of brings everything back into focus. Like,
Yeah.
don't get mad about something stupid like that.
What are you
I'd
going to
walk-
let
I'd-
yourself be upset by?
Right. Yeah.
I'd walk 7 miles for brown water.
I've done that. One of the most things that I've always realized, like when you wake up late, I think like when you wake up late, whether for work, school, whatever, you're like, fuck, oh no, you got to rush this out. Like,
Yeah.
all right, well, guess what? No matter how much mental like pressure or anxiety or anything you put on yourself, it's not going to change the fact that you're just behind schedule.
Yeah.
If I could turn back time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
But you can't find a way.
This is true.
So like,
Well,
what's
can you though?
to turn back time? Maybe. I
You
don't
don't
know.
think there's time travelers?
I don't know. I'm still
I don't know.
jury's still out on that one.
Jury's out on that. Yeah,
Maybe. I'd like to think there is.
I can't imagine. Can you imagine?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be shocked. There's little that would shock me that is actually happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there that it just
You're
have
like,
a lot of
"Eh,
question
It's
marks.
possible.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. Space and time. I
yeah,
don't know. Gravity. What is it? I don't know.
yeah.
That was the biggest mind fuck that I've ever not ever gone through. One of the biggest mind fucks I've ever gone through recently was realizing that antimatter, anti-gravity, and dark matter are things that are recognized by the scientific community.
Yeah.
And when you go to find out what they are, they say, they exist.
Yeah,
We don't know
We don't
what they
really
are.
know.
These are the names we've given it.
yeah.
Like, what? Excuse me? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like what? So, like, how,
Excuse me, bitch?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like
You
all
know
these
what
things
that
that we
is?
say, like, these are definites. Like, all these things are definites.
Yeah.
Gravity's a definite, matter. Well, you just said we have anti-gravity and antimatter and dark matter. Where are those things? Well, we don't know. So how can you fucking say that one thing's a definite when you recognize something and say, we don't know what it is?
Right.
So to me, fucking nothing's a definite.
Yeah.
I think, wait, what do you think the possibility is? What do you think percentage-wise that we're living in a simulation?
Dude. So for the longest time, I'm like, no way. And then as time goes on, the older I get, the more I learn.
You try that VR headset on, you're like,
Ex-
holy
exactly.
fuck.
Try VR on. I don't know. I'd say 70 to 80%.
Ooh, that's a pretty high number. They say there
I
is,
mean, how would we ever know?
I guess when we, maybe
When you die.
when you die, unless they wipe your memory and put you back in again.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a statistical formula out there that basically says that like
I know
the
what you're
percentage
talking about.
of that we're in a simulation is like 99% or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. We might be in the real one. Maybe. I don't know. But shit's getting weird.
I know. I know. And I love, God rest his soul, before my grandpa died, I went over and talked to him about, like, I think you and I have talked about this before at the gym, about the whole Tic Tac video of the UFO.
Commander David Fravor saw that and then
Yeah.
they recorded it later.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And I talked to him, I'm like, they came out and they talked about it. He's like, no,
No.
it doesn't exist. I'm like, I saw the video. Like, it's a legit thing. No. I'm like, how can you be like that steadfast on it? My grandpa was born in like 1932, lived through everything, grew up poor on a farm, went through like,
Right.
the end of the Depression and all that. Very strong in his beliefs, religious beliefs and everything. And I'm like, there's video evidence of it. He's like, doesn't exist. Like, he was just so hard nosed. I'm like, I kind of envy that in a way, to be like,
You could sleep easier at night.
yeah, you can sleep easier at night to like, no, that's not a real thing.
Yeah. Well, especially like I find it hard for anybody that's lived up to around this age,
Mm-hmm.
that's lived through like the 80s through, the 2010s, 2020, like that time frame. We've seen such a
so much
insane change.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you go from 1930s to 1830, 1730. There's some change. There's some big changes.
Right.
But
right.
nothing
But
like
nothing
the
like
exponential
this.
change that we've seen in the last 100 years. And it's
Right.
like, if that doesn't make you at least go, maybe,
Right.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. It's like really, I remember it's really neat, like growing up to be this age, to see like video games and like TV and all these things
yeah.
start to develop, and like the phones. Like I remember the first phone I got was basically like a house phone.
Yeah.
Like it was, and even then that was small.
Yeah.
And now like we literally have supercomputers in our pockets,
Right.
and it's like, what? Like,
Right.
what's next? Are we going to continue this, or are we in for the lull, the
Right.
downfall for the next 50 years?
I
Because
mean,
that's
if
possible
we
too.
followed the trends of the Romans,
We're going to go back to the Stone Age.
nothing looks
Nothing
good.
good?
It looks good. Yeah.
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 It's going to be exciting though.
I remember my grandpa saying when I was a little kid, he said, I remember there being comics about us getting to the moon. He's like, and then I lived through it and I saw it on, I saw
And he
everything.
still doesn't believe in
And he
aliens.
still didn't believe in it. And that was my argument. I'm like,
Right.
I remember you telling me when I was like 8 about the moon, and he's like,
Bro, your grandpa knows, bro. He probably fought some aliens.
he probably did.
Probably did.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Probably-
He's a tough guy. You never know.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a wild world we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what comes in the future.
Excited's a word you'd use.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the interestingness of it.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I hate chaos, but I tend to do okay in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I feel fairly confident as far as there's a lot of people I know. This is one thing. This is a really good like personal experience that I've gone through is I know for a fact that there's a ton of people way smarter than me.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Right.
There's a ton of people way more skilled, way more experienced, way more cultural, all those things. But, and I don't say this to be a dick, there's even more people that
Oh.
aren't nearly as capable as I am.
No.
So,
I know
Oh,
exactly.
You know
you
what?
mean all of Canada because they don't have guns?
Well, that's just, I'm speaking on a personal level. Yeah,
I'm,
but yeah,
I'm
you
joking.
know.
I'm joking.
Some of them have guns. I mean, you can't trade them or sell them anymore. I saw a meme the other day that was really funny. It was like, so we know all of the trucker protesters' names and bank accounts, but we still don't know who's on Ghislaine's
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Like,
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Or
like-
how long she got sentenced to versus R. Kelly.
Right.
yeah. Well, because there's no like direct victims with her.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all. She didn't set those people up.
Not at all.
man.
No.
Yes.
She
Definitely
wouldn't
not.
do
Pimp them
that.
out. And
She was just connected
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
naturally.
Of course.
That's it.
That is a weird thing, right? Especially so close. And it's just like,
No, it's
so-
not a weird thing. It's a thing where she must have information on other people. So they're like, whoa, I guess we can only give you this much and we're going to kill you in 2 years. So.
Yeah.
I think if there was, this is kind of fucked up. And I just thought of this just right off now, top of my head. If I ran across a genie and I had 3 wishes, I think one of them would be like, identify everybody.
Yeah.
I
who's
wish
been
I was a little
involved.
bit taller. I wish I could identify the people on Epstein Island.
Yeah, all the people that were involved with Epstein and Maxwell.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
one.
That would be some probably sickening
Yeah.
truths right there.
Oh, yeah, but it would
Yeah.
fucking change the world.
I mean, would it though? Would it though?
I'd like to think it
I
would.
think the world kind of only sees what it wants to see and hears
Mhm.
what it wants to see.
HRC would find a way to stop all that anyway. You see that meme of
Rat 'em.
of Ghislaine in her cell with HRC,
I saw that.
HRC
I saw
with the
that.
lampshade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Bro, that's why I'm glad you actually did say the full name on this show.
Yeah,
We whisper it.
yeah. You have to.
We
You have
whisper
to.
it's like who's it? Where you look
If
in
you
the
want
mirror?
to survive, you have
What's
to.
what's that old wives' tale like creepy thing where you look in the mirror and what's her name? It's got to be Mary. Something about Mary.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary.
Bloody
or s-
Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's or
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, I drink those, but that's all good.
I'm not maybe I'll have to try that with the tomatoes.
I actually
'Cause
don't.
I'm-
I
There you
actually
go.
don't drink Bloody
Oh,
Mary.
I was saying,
I'll
I-
try them.
I said I'm not a huge
I'm not a
tomato
huge
juice
fan.
fan.
Bro,
But maybe
I'm not either.
fresh tomato juice.
But Josh's dad gave me some Carolina Reaper that we could put
Oh
in
my
there and see what
God.
that's like.
That
Oh.
why do I want to do that
Yeah,
to myself?
yeah. 3 days of
Yeah,
hell.
just burning out of my butthole.
Yeah,
Like that's no good.
yeah.
Said it was pretty
That's the
tasty.
worst
I did-
part of it. Like
I
the
got-
mouth pain is tolerable and
Well-
the stomach pain even, but not the butt pain.
No, it's not. It's really not.
It's not.
I got
That's
some.
what she said.
Hey-o. I got some peppers. I can't remember what they were called now. I still have some in the fridge.
Boot Jalokias?
Yeah.
No, there were some peppers from Jesse. And they were like, he's like, I'll give you some peppers. So I tried. I was like, this is really good. Like it was super spicy, but like the flavor was on point. I ate one.
Did the top of the stem of those peppers do this?
So, so I was like, this is really good. I was like, this is phenomenal. But I'm
Yeah.
only gonna eat one just to see how it pans out. No problem. I ate 2 a couple days later. Not so great. Yeah.
Lots of problems.
Yeah, it was really good going down.
Some inflammatory bowel disease.
It was that it was like that beef jerky that we had going down to.
Ooh, yeah, to the Railbird. Yeah, you got some hot beef jerky, and we were eating it, and I was like, dude, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah,
like no bueno good.
Yeah,
and he was like, it'll be all right. And
go to
I don't know how many
festival.
hours later it was,
About
but
2.
you were like, oh shit, you were right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever gone to Freedom Foods.
Mm-hmm.
So they have that. Was it Canaan Center has jerky there that they put in there every once in a while in the fridge?
The Devil's Kiss.
Devil's Kiss, yeah. I
have the same problem with that. Yeah,
I won't buy it. That's
I
what
love
it was.
It's great.
It's so good. But I'm like,
till it's
after,
not.
and I tried it like after that. I was like, I'll try it one more time. Maybe it's no same deal. I'm like, maybe they should specify on the label.
Did not specify.
Yeah, Devil's Kiss on your asshole.
Yeah,
That devil wears a suit and tie.
Yeah, he has no problem tossing a salad. And it's not.
It's rough.
Yeah. So I don't.
It's so good, but
I don't get
so
that
bad.
kind anymore. I'll go in there and I'll see some in the fridge. I'm like flipping each one. I'm like, fuck.
Dude, I do this. I do the
this.
same thing. Yeah. I'm like, oh, hillbilly jerky? No, it's not in there.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah, the Devil's Kisses.
Not flirting with that.
No.
On the butthole.
We did the the one chip challenge.
The
Ryan
Paqui or whatever.
Yeah, it was when Ryan moved up here. And he's like, well, I'll do it. Britta bought it. And we were at her house for a barbecue, like have cigars and smoke some food and whatever. It was, dude, I broke a chunk off.
Oh, you didn't eat the whole thing?
No, we only had one. And he's like, well, I'll have some if you have some.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I already have digestive problems and stuff.
That's not good then.
So I ate it and it was immediate regret. And then you felt it go and it hit your stomach. You felt it in stages. But the next day was fine.
It's like running a marathon where you just feel the stages of emotions.
Dude, it was so bad, like you couldn't talk. You're just like, no. So that was like, it's like a new respect for like hot ones and stuff like that, where they're dying, but they're asking them questions. It was a new respect for that because it was. My wife's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Shut up, leave me alone. I just need 2 minutes." Just
my mouth is. You get like the mouth sweats.
It was terrible, terrible.
Your body knows, like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Right? Stop.
Yeah, the last time I did that was in high school with the Blazing Wings, like when you had to use the sign the challenge, whatever.
Sign the consent.
Yeah, and then I missed the next day of work or of school. Ooh. My dad's like, "You can stay home," because I was literally crying, literally crying on the toilet.
There's no
like,
good.
That's terrible pain. So ever since then, position. I'm like,
I have no desire for that. Like,
no,
even the
I can't
hotness,
do it.
Like, I want some flavor.
Right.
Like, what's the point of eating something if it's just...
Well, dude, that's what Josh's dad said, those Carolina Reapers. He said, dude, they are hot, but they actually have flavor. He said they're not just pure hot. He said they have flavor. I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I remember...
I'm cool.
I went to a BW3's one. Just, basic wing places you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
We trying to get after here?
Trying to get
the Buffalo Trace?
Yeah. Let's get the big boy in here.
Big boy.
Oh,
I just went randomly, went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was like, I'll get the hot wings. I want some just nice something buffalo
hot,
flavor.
Yeah.
But like BW3 is like buffalo. Like, that's not hot. No. That's just like, it's buffalo flavor. It's
right.
Hot. So she brought them out. I'm eating them. And the first one, go for it. The first one, I'm like, fuck, like, this is hot.
Yeah.
I got like halfway into my second one, and I'm like, I had the mouth sweats. And I'm like, I can't talk because I'm like, what the fuck? Waitress comes back out. She's like, he's all good. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
She was like, well, I was like, these are not like hot. She's like, well, that's what's in there. Like, it's just the normal hot. And I said, fuck too, it ain't. Mm-hmm. I said, because there's no way.
Somebody was in the back and they were like, 1 gram, 2 gram, heroic gram, heroic dose. Let's do
I said, there's no way your average customer is coming in here to buy hot wings and getting this.
Right.
I said,
hey, Fred, maybe you're just a bitch.
No. I'm not saying I'm not a bitch.
I'm joking.
But I'm saying these are way too hot. I'm like, fuck too. I said, I literally like, I can handle some hot stuff. Like,
right.
If nothing else, my ego can handle some hot stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I was like, I can't eat these. I said, you might as well just take these. Because I can't even, like, I'm not even going to take these home.
It's not even enjoyable.
Like, I won't even take these home and rinse these motherfuckers off. Like, there's no way. And I was like, I don't know what it
Bro,
like,
that is literally And that's what Size appreciates is about you. That's the difference between you and me.
You just eat them
Dude,
anyways.
I would eat every one of those.
Dude, I was literally
motherfuckers
sweating. Like I'm
cry.
sweating, and like my
Ugh.
mouth is just like I'm salivating. Yeah, I almost said salivating. Salivating. Like I'm just like I couldn't like do anything. I'm like, I'm like, no, like these are not. I don't know what they did to these. I said, but something happened back there. It's not cool. Like not down with that.
That happened to me at the old jail. I got their hot wings and it was amazing. I'm like, what sauce do you guys use? Like, can you tell me? And she lied to my face. She's like, it's just Frank's Red Hot. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's
I know.
way more hot than Frank's Red Hot.
I know Frank's Red Hot because I put that shit on everything.
Literally, yeah.
You're welcome, Frank.
Right. But yeah, she lied to me. I'm like, it's definitely not just Frank's. Like, there's more going on here. She's like, no, that's what he told me.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, he's lying to you.
He's
Because it was hot. Like, it was not unbearable, obviously. I
Right.
enjoyed it, but I'm like, it's more than just Frank's.
I had that happen in a Mexican restaurant once down in New Philadelphia. Went down with the entire family. They're like, you want some hot sauce? And I was like, sure do.
Sure do.
They're like, what do you want? I'm like, whatever you guys eat.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a dangerous
And
proposition.
they gave it to me.
Yeah.
And it was no bueno. Dude, it was full on like skin red, sweating, snot.
Oh,
coming
snot
out.
too.
And they were
Like
like,
ugly cries.
oh yeah, 100%, man.
That's awesome.
And the family was like, just stop eating. And I was like, I can't stop
You
eating.
can't, yeah. Once you start.
Oh, I finished it. It was miserable.
That's a cheat code for LTAP too. Say, I want the house hot sauce. And they'll bring you the house hot sauce. And it's delicious. It's really good.
Yeah, but
Little
how
cheat
hot
code
is
for you.
it?
It's hot. It's not it's
Up,
not
up.
that.
Ooh, yeah,
It's
up.
not
It's not that.
snotting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
not
So I'm
snotting.
cool as long as it's not that.
No, yeah. I can't do anything too bad anymore. And when I go there, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, dude, ask for their house hot sauce. And they
Yeah.
bring it in like little plastic cups and it's good.
Solid.
Sounds like a good tip.
Keep that in mind.
Yep.
Just the tip.
They have two.
Tish.
They have two different kinds.
All these secrets.
Yeah, man. You gotta know how to order stuff. So I tell people, well, you trust the big guy. Big guys know how to eat,
Just
right?
trust the big guy.
Yeah. It's true.
Well,
I try and get the secret menu. I usually wink at them and they're like, is that dude having a seizure? What's going on?
or is he trying to order drugs?
right. Yeah. Can I have the house hot sauce?
I actually didn't want cocaine. I really wanted hot
I
sauce.
really wanted hot sauce.
But when in Rome. So.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you know. Oh shit.
That's awesome.
So I think we touched on everything cursory guns.
Mhm.
Guns. Pistols, rifles. You got some things that you really enjoy. You got some things that you like to carry, some things you like to go pew pew with.
I'm a big HK guy.
Yeah?
I love
Oh,
HK
yeah.
and SIG, yeah. Rifles, just black guns mainly. I mean, we have like some hunting stuff, but generally just black guns.
What's your favorite H&K pistol?
One I carry the most, if I carry, a lot of times I know I'm going to be drinking, so I don't usually carry. But
Right.
if I do,
Responsible gun owner.
it's a HK 45C.
Yeah.
It's kind of an older, but it's a smaller 45. It's still bigger than most guys would feel comfortable carrying, but it
Sure.
works for me. But it's the most accurate gun I've ever shot in my entire life. Like, it's just,
Is it a single double? Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, it just, I don't know what it is about it. It's almost like it's like becomes a part of your hand.
You
know?
got a relationship with it.
Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to shoot some very expensive, like 1911s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would still choose that gun over that.
Nice.
So I don't know. I like HK and SIG. I'm not a big Glock. I have a couple Glocks, but I'm not a huge Glock guy. I just
Plastic bricks.
Yeah, I've never gone the Glock route.
I have big hands, and my hands usually kind of go where the slide
yeah.
and the
Same
slide
here.
catches me.
Oh.
So I think I had a Gen 317 that I got rid. I think I traded that for a knife, actually, like a out the front auto knife.
Yeah.
Really nice knife, but it just wasn't my thing. Like, I have a couple Glocks, but
Sure.
I'm more HK guy.
Yeah.
5.56 guy, that kind of stuff.
I remember the first time I bought an expensive pistol.
Mm-hmm.
I it started because I I'll say she's not here, so she can't defend herself. But I was coerced by my wife to sell my motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm taking this money and I'm doing something fun with some of it. And I always thought, like, I see these people like spend over $1,000 on a pistol. I'm like, these people are fucking out of their minds. Like, why the fuck would you ever do that?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that was this was probably 10 years ago. So so then I'm like, all right, well, like
Nighthawks,
West Bears,
Well, like I was like, all right, well,
Cabot's.
I sold my bike. Like, I have to do something ridiculous with this money. So I went and I ended up buying a Kimber. Crimson.
I knew you guys.
A Crimson Carry 2.
Yep.
I was like, I want something small to carry. You know what? Like, if I'm gonna get it, might as well be. The first time I shot it, I was like,
oh, I get it.
You got a hard on, and you were like sold.
I was like, this is why people spend this kind of money on a pistol. I was like, I was planking stuff at 50 yards.
Oh yeah.
With a fucking what? It's like a 6-inch barrel. It's a 3-inch barrel. The whole gun is like 6 inches.
3.25.
Yeah, it's like 3. Like
and
it's like and like the trigger, like the feel, all of it. It was like
it feels crazy.
I was like, okay, but then like the most ridiculous thing is I felt was like, now I'm just beating the hell out of this $1,000 pistol because I'm carrying it. But I was like, you know what? Why else would I fucking buy it then?
Yeah.
So
like,
my father-in-law is a huge gun collector, and he's like, his motto is always like, do you feel comfortable protecting your life with that thing?
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many people I meet like, oh yeah, I'm a gun guy too, and I've got Tauruses and this and that, which that's fine. I don't feel comfortable carrying a Taurus.
Got a family of high points,
dude.
Exactly.
I used to have a high point that was a fucking plinker
every time.
Was a fucking plinker.
I still have one that's
I wish I still had mine.
I don't know, and that's always kind of like rang in the back of my head. Like, do you feel comfortable protecting my daughter or yourself with this? You know,
right?
So that's kind of where I base a lot of where I buy. Like, it's more it's you get what you pay for a lot of the time.
Oh yeah,
that's why you carry multiple guns.
that too.
Well, it was one of those things. Like, I could. There's a lot of guns I could find that, like, even like the M&P Shields. Like, they're super small, super easy to carry. They still
2.0 is a fucking shooter, bro.
Yeah, they still shoot very well for like even I got my wife a Sig. Was it
365?
Now you just messed my brain up.
Yeah,
it's a 350. No, I fucked it all up. I don't know. It's a real small gun.
The 938.
No, that's not it. It's an older one.
238.
380.
Well, it's a 380.
Yeah, it's a 380. I don't remember the brand. We bought it probably well over 10 years ago.
Okay.
At this point. But like she had one of her friends had like a Ruger that was smaller like 380 Ruger, and it was like you just couldn't shoot it because the trigger pull so heavy.
Bro, that is the longest. You're talking about the LCP.
Yes,
that is the longest.
Yes.
You're like
Ruger LCP,
1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah, and I'm like, why would you make a
I just
tiny,
grew a fucking beard. Boom.
Yeah, like and like this is a small gun. That's at least in my mind, the intention behind it is for small people to shoot a small gun.
Bang bang.
So why would you have such a hard trigger pull on a gun that's kind of quote unquote intended for?
I don't think there's a safety on that thing, is there? And that's probably why.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the LC9 might have a safety, but I don't think the LCP has. I
don't think the LCP.
And that's probably why.
Maybe I don't.
That's why.
I don't want to accidentally single boom.
Yeah. Either way, the trigger pull was like even hard for me to control.
Yeah.
And it was like, look, like we need to go find you a gun that's actually easy for you to shoot effectively. Like you need to be efficient, you need to be effective, because if not, like you said, what's the point of having it?
Yeah.
So it was like even this gun, like I can only put 3 fingers. Like my pinky was, but I could still shoot it effectively. And it was like, like this is a decent gun. You know,
that was my issue with like the Shield. Like when the first iteration of the Shield came out, I was like, I'm all in. You know, like again, my father-in-law's a huge Smith revolver guy, a huge Colt revolver guy, and I'm like, well, I'll try the Shield. I couldn't hit anything with it. I was horrible with it.
Just because your hands were too big and you
my
were
hands are too
overlapping shit here.
Yeah, I could see that.
Pulling too much and whatever. Yeah. I haven't tried the 2.0, but yeah, it just I feel more comfortable with a bigger firearm. Size. Yeah, not necessarily full size, but something. I mean, I got bear paws.
Yeah.
So I'm
I think we all have bear paws though. You got some big hands. I got some dick beaters.
Yeah. Like, I got some dick. Whoa.
I mean, we don't have Brock Lesnar hands, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
That dude.
Yeah.
That's
some of those people with those. I don't know what you do with those.
That's one of the things that boggled my mind. As I remember reading think it was a Maxim article when he was in the UFC.
Were you reading the Maxim?
I was reading.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
About Brock.
that's the one thing about Maxim.
No judgment.
Is
No
they had
judgment.
some people.
The internet
like
was around then.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah. And people like to say that Playboy, like, oh, I read Playboy for the articles, but like Maxim actually did
I
have
have some articles.
They
decent
do have
articles.
some. I read some Playboy articles.
But I remember the thing that stuck out the most was
I
he had
like
a
the pictures, too.
4X. He had a 4X glove.
Jesus.
I'm like, I can't fathom how big someone's hands are that wears
Especially
a
that-
4X glove.
That big of a man.
We'll
Right.
get you and Craig on next time, and we'll see how big that fucking hand was.
I know. We just talked about
It's
it.
a
I just-
triple dick beater hand. Is what
Yeah.
it is.
Well,
we talked about that.
the 3 at a time? Is that what you're saying?
I don't even know what that would be called. It's not even skiing.
Yeah, right.
Slalom skiing.
Hitting
Yeah, Craig-
moguls.
Craig and I just talked about that. We had cigars not too long ago, and we talked
Yeah.
about that. And I'm like, dude, were his hands as big as? He's like, yeah, they're massive. They're
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
He was born to butcher meat then.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
guys, Seth, I don't know if you ever met Seth and Scott.
Yeah, I've
But-
kind of know them. I've
No.
talked to them a few
But it's
times,
like,
but I'm not
You know,
close.
when you
Their paws.
like
they have,
shaking
like-
a butcher's
like-
hand,
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
all meat. It's like your hands have more meat than my like my biceps. Like what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
that's a crazy thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
you use your hands. That's kind of part of it.
yeah, and trying to grip those things, like talk about grip strength.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like I said, it's like I used to work at a local place and we'd have old farmers come in and like load their trucks. Those are some of the toughest, strongest
Oh, yeah.
bastards
Yeah.
ever.
or mechanics.
Or mechanics,
You're
yeah.
like, oh my god, dude, just bend a wrench.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they got that turning, the
Yeah,
rotational
that
capacity,
rotational.
right? It's like that dad strength plus. It's
Right.
like you want all right, dad strength is cool, but like mechanic strength and then farmer strength is like the next like
Dude.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
about throwing chickens on a fire strength, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I used to, like, when I was working there, I would, like, you know, like, load big coils of pipe up,
Yeah.
and these dudes, like, 80, and they hop out. They're
Oh,
from
yeah.
Shreve, so I'm like, oh, you probably know my great uncle Homer. And he's like, oh, yeah, everyone knows Homer. Homer knew everyone's business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, let me help you with that, you know, because it's like an 80-year-old dude. He's like, oh, I got it. He just whips it up
Oh,
like
yeah.
like I was. And I was like 24 in like great shape. I'm like,
Yup.
holy shit. And then you're like, all right, have a good day. Shake your hand. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave
It's-
here with my bones intact.
It was shocking. I'm like, wow, that's something you don't mess around with.
What's that
those old
daily
men.
that daily usage, right?
Yep.
There's nothing that you can replace
Right.
with
Right.
repetitiveness.
And some of that's just like crazy genetic, like some of the Russians and stuff.
Oh, those fucking Russians.
Dude.
You know, get
We had this,
fucking
we had
bread for it.
my boss, he'll appreciate this story, was that guy. Like, he's like, I'd kick Ronda Rousey's ass. I'm like, bullshit, you know.
yeah,
He
I'm
was
not
just
even
like-
making that statement. Ronda Rousey.
Tony probably knows who I'm
the fuck
talking
out of
about.
me.
I'll tell you later. But
I think I know who you're talking
he one time, the only time I ever saw him back down, because he was like a fighter and this and that. This big, this big Russian dude came in on a semi. It
Yeah.
was like a less than a load, just a quick, whatever. And he was supposed to load him up. This Russian guy hops down. He's like, "Load me now," and he's like, "I'll get to you in a second. I gotta do something." He's like, "No, load me now." He's like, "Okay." So he just backed down immediately. I saw this whole thing take place. I'm like, what just happened? He's like, that dude was intimidating as fuck. He was so scary. And he was like, he towered over this dude who's not a small guy.
Yeah.
And he just like, you load me now. And that's exactly what he did. And it was
Du
You do-
hast mich. Load me now.
exactly dude,
Different
it was-
cultures, but you know, either way.
I know. German,
Yeah,
Russian.
You
German,
don't.
Russian,
You don't load me. Russia loads you.
I must break him.
Oh man. Fuck. Max. It's been 3 hours almost.
Wow.
It goes fast, man. Everyone says it. Like, holy smokes, it's been 3
Wow.
hours.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
we can continue,
Boy,
but I have
my.
to piss.
So do I. I have to piss so bad.
So I mean, we can keep going if you'd like, but either way,
It's entirely up to you. I'm cool with it, but I definitely have to piss.
what do you got? Do you want to keep going, Tony?
I'll do whatever, man. I got the
I know what
sitter.
you're.
I was maybe planning on going out to the 24, 23 acres I have in mowing, but I mean, dude, it doesn't have to get done out there. I'll hammer on. This bourbon's not going to drink itself.
I don't think we could. It would probably be a bad decision.
That
to drink all
sounds
this
like a
bourbon.
challenge.
Yeah, that'd be a bad.
Let's take a bathroom break.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do a quick wrap up. then.
Reconvene.
Yeah.
Okay.
the base layer of what people understand about Ohio. Like, you don't realize all the cool things that people are doing in this such a small area.
Right.
So you expand that, then how many awesome people are doing awesome things throughout the entire nation?
Mm-hmm.
But all we get is these stories on social media of people just being dickbags all the time.
Right.
Or like every once in a while you'll get a cool like feel good story.
Right.
That like, oh, this person did something really cool, but most of the time it's all tragic and terrible and heinous and
doom and gloom.
That's all we get is doom and gloom. And it's like man, like there's so many cool people within this 10, like literally the vast majority of the people we've had on are probably within a like 10-mile radius,
ish,
20-mile radius maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say, yeah.
We've obviously had some people from Cleveland and
True.
different areas, and we've talked to people from, Alaska, and I've had a guy on multiple times that we like
Cali.
that we Zoom, like we do like
He's
a
not
virtual
himself,
thing,
like, which is cool.
Yeah, we do like he's in LA.
Yeah.
But it's like, but for the most part, like we've had so many really neat conversations with people that are here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, there's awesome people doing awesome fucking shit.
Yeah.
All the time.
I need to get you guys hooked up with Gun Drummer. I'm sure he would probably be down.
Bring him on, man.
He's an
Yeah.
awesome dude.
I
He's a
am all
huge.
Bro, I
gun
actually
guy.
want to. I'd love to do a video with him.
Oh yeah, so would I.
Do
Yeah.
it. Let's
That'd be
let's
He's super.
quadumvirate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Let's do it.
super
I got a
good dude.
camera. Well, do some. I'd love to do something like that. That'd be super cool. I wonder if he's the guy. I wish Castle was here. She could pull it up. She had an emergency thing. She had to step out. I was probably like an hour in the show. But there's one video that I really like along those lines. I don't know if it's him. It's the what's a Metallica song? So Be It. I don't know. I can't remember the title, the actual name of the song. Fuck. It's like, so be it. Settle the score.
I know the song.
To prepare. It's like,
To
secure
prepare for
peace
war.
sales to prepare for war.
Right.
It's like, and there's somebody that does that.
And he's shooting guns.
Yeah, he does the gun thing.
That's gotta
Definitely.
be
It's
him.
got to be
That's
him,
gotta
I
be
would
him.
think.
For
But
sure.
like, I remember that was the first like gun song, like that idea. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah, I don't even.
This
I
is
don't even be on the
fucking
videos. I just
cool.
want to shoot some guns.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do something. Even if I'll clip them up. I'll just take a video. I'll just clip them up and post it.
Dude, I just saw a video. He does a lot of stuff like where he shoots inside his house,
Oh, shit.
out his door.
Oh, with like high powered rifles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shotguns.
that's loud. That's really loud.
The last one I saw, I think, was just I think it was an AR. I don't really remember. And he's like, yeah, and you clean it like this, and then, and just right out his door. I'm like, he was in his kitchen. I'm like, dude,
Dude,
you are nuts. Yeah, I love that guy.
Imagine what people from people from other countries must just be like. America, just wild.
Yeah.
It's still the
Just
Wild
wild.
West. Yeah.
Which I love.
Even goes
dude.
back.
I love it.
Those probably even the Russians are like,
So
that is Wild West.
funny you say that. Have you ever heard of the band Slaughter to Prevail? They're super like underground.
I
metal
don't
band.
think so.
Their lead singer, his name is like Alex Terrible. He's from Russia, barely speaks English. He came and did a video with Gun Drummer,
Oh, yeah.
and it's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And the whole time he's just like, "What is going on?" Like, he's never shot a gun. Alex had never shot, so he had him shoot. Like, he kind of worked his way up. And,
You got to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. It's such a cool thing.
Dude, I just want a solo with an M249.
Yeah, I want that's like my dream.
Yeah. That'd
A
be-
saw. Oh, I love those guns.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I think it's hard too. I think some people they've been maybe it's a narrative. Maybe they've been not diluted. Maybe they've been poisoned to like consider any time like a gun is mentioned or something like because it has the capability of providing death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so do your fists
So
or your vehicle,
Right,
Yeah.
but they've been
or your words. When you put someone down, they commit suicide.
No, for sure. But that's the point. That's exactly the point that I'm making.
I know it is.
There's so many ways that we can kill somebody, or somebody can, or that somebody can die. All these different, like, at first it sounds kind of abrasive and insensitive. I saw something, I can't remember if it was a social media thing or if I had a conversation. They all blend together sometimes. I saw a social media thing where it was a string of like 50 buses. It was like they were trying to make a statement.
Okay.
So it was like 4,500 kids. So like these buses would be carrying the 4,500 kids that died from gun violence. And they made like this big display out of it, right?
Right.
How many buses would it take for Chicago?
At least half of them, probably.
You mean half of all the buses in the whole world?
Existence? Yeah.
Well, that was like the point. Like, I was like, I kind of brought up that, like, look, like this is intentionally misleading. These, yes, is it fucking horrific that 4,500 kids, whatever the number is, it's close around there, have died from, quote unquote gun violence, have died from guns.
Right.
Yes, that shouldn't be happening. I agree with that 1,000%.
Right.
Oh, even though that's not a number. Absolutely. I agree with that. But to portray it as school buses and to make this display of these, all of the kids that have died from gun violence would be in these like school buses. And this is like, a quantifying thing. It's like, well, no, you're intentionally making the connection with schools. And that I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
Like, what are the actual statistics? What are, like, should any kids be dying in school? Fuck no.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But like, that's to even pretend that like somebody's like okay with that is fucking asinine. So like, stop it.
Right.
But like, we bringing these messages across that, and connecting them with a school bus, which is a very iconic thing to connect with schools and sending your kid off to school. And like, how many, parents of first day of kindergarten, my kid's fucking getting on the bus. Like, that's a terrifying thing all in itself.
You're right.
Like letting your kid go the first time.
Right.
So like, to pretend that using school buses as a designating like factor, that's disingenuous to me. Like, you're trying to play on people's emotions and you're trying to do things. And to me, like, that just fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
Cause that's not a good representation of what's really going on.
Right.
Like, yes. Do we have a problem with people dying from guns in this country? Yes. But to blame the guns, I think is taking the easy route, because the guns don't just fucking kill somebody.
Right.
Guess what? A bat just doesn't fucking happen to kill somebody. A knife just doesn't get up and go, I'm going to stab somebody today.
Right.
Bro, I was so confused. I thought you meant like a flying bat at first. I was like, that's a fucking ferocious bat, bro. Like,
No, yeah.
I may have to leash one of those and keep it as a pet.
Yeah. Not the flying rodents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, baseball bat.
Confuse it for a second.
But that's where like the problem, like we always like, it seems that people want to take these like real high level, like glances at things and like blame things that aren't really like, you stop blaming our problems on the things that aren't to blame.
Right.
Like,
well, dude, why do you think that is, man? Do you think it's like naivety in general? Do you think like,
yes.
So
Yes.
100% naivety?
Yes. No,
like
just whatever you're going to say. Yes.
Yes. Just yes. After
Yes.
everything.
It's
that
going to be all of
follows.
those things.
And that's the thing. A lot of the numbers that we do get are so skewed. They're not, they're like, well, we don't tell you about this, this, and this that equal that thing.
Yeah, it's that whole lying with statistics.
Yeah.
101.
Move, yeah, move the numbers around to make them benefit what you're
It's
trying to do.
Yeah, presenting
Yeah.
the numbers that reflect how you want to reflect on the situation.
And then as soon as you go, well, what about this, this, and that? They're like,
you fucking bigot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you like to see kids getting shot down in schools,
love
don't
that.
you?
Just so you can carry your gun around.
Yeah, because you just got a hard
It's
on
just
for
like-
guns. Like, fuck, stop.
Yeah.
And I don't know how are so many people captured by that to not recognize that, like,
because they don't have real problems.
Right.
Oh, well.
And they're not educated at all with guns in general. Like one of my best friends in the world, born and raised in Bedford, Cleveland, a suburb of Cleveland. I brought out, he's not anti-gun at all. I brought out an AR to show him. He's like, immediately I'm like, dude, it's not gonna bite you. Like it's not loaded. Like there wasn't even a mag in it. And he was like, well, I don't know. Like, but it's just he wasn't exposed to it. He had no knowledge of it at all. So if you think of all the cities that have millions and millions of people that have the same experience that don't have any knowledge of it, to them they're like, oh man, that's what kills people. But as soon as you educate yourself and you learn, like, oh no, this is this, and that, and it's safe if you do this, and it's not safe if you do that,
right?
Then it becomes less scary. But it's just like anything, anything you don't know about, you're freaked out about it. Yeah. And then they're so naive to the fact, like, they don't want to learn about it because then they're going to be like one of those crazy rednecks that love guns.
Because you might actually like guns.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
And then you shoot a gun and you're like, whoa, this is amazing.
It's a cool experience, like to be able to do certain things.
I mean, a cool experience to be able to defend yourself and your family.
Right.
You have a greater chance at living.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not even that, but just maybe this is my engineer brain talking, but like the engineering and the concepts and all of the things that have to happen to take a gun, like taking it like target shooting, and to be able to like precisely, put a bullet in the same area and to be able to do these things, or to hunt. Like, a lot of people, like, I think there seems to be a tide turning on hunting, maybe a little bit, a tiny little bit, where people are realizing that it's weird. It's this culmination of and I'm going to just be speaking general terms here. I don't mean to offend or label or whatever anybody, but like,
dare you?
I know.
Say what you're going to say.
Yeah, but I just want to preface it with that, because I'm not even going to try to use proper terms. But like, you look at this super liberal, like save the world kind of utopian ideology of, going vegan and, living like in plants, and like we should eat those, like, animals have rights and all these things. And I don't think
there's too many deer and they eat their fucking plants.
Right.
And then they have no more vegetables.
Right. Or
disease.
Or, the animal is actually a predator and it, is highly efficient in infanticide. And is that the right word?
They're killing their young?
Yes. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, infanticide. Yeah. So like, these, you realize like,
calm down, Jack Hanna.
Yeah. These animals, like, guess what? Like we talked about earlier, like the bison and the bear. Like these animals, like they eat each other on a daily. Right. Birds, like the chickens. Like, guess what? Like, so like, just because like somebody hunts and kills an animal isn't necessarily that they're being some kind of serial killer.
Right.
Like a lot, like
maybe they're just hungry.
Yeah. Most people that hunt, are actually concerned about their environmental impact, their, the impact on the wildlife, being cautious and being respectful of taking care of, the wildlife while they're out there, and being respectful of that kill and the harvest, and being able to feed their family or, their tribe or their culture, all these things. So it's like, without realizing all these things, when you live in a high-rise apartment and you go to the grocery store to get your, steak or chicken breast, or and then eventually you realize like, oh my God, this comes from an animal.
Right.
Well, I can't do that. Like, I just got to eat vegetables. Well, guess what? Like fungus and trees and plants, they talk to each other too. Like they communicate. Like, I don't know how much. Like,
no, I know exactly.
Okay, yeah. So you go do your own research if you listen to this, because I don't got time to talk about that. But like, you realize like all these things are interconnected.
Yeah,
we're interconnected with this. So if you have some kind of level of respect for the whole thing, then I don't see the issue.
Right.
Like if you're out there just like headshotting deer in the middle of the night just to fucking shoot something.
Right.
I don't.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, you're being a dickbag.
Right.
But like, if you're using it for, sustenance, I don't see any different than going out and picking a ear of corn.
Bro, I'm still just thinking about this high rise and just shooting skeet off of it.
That would be fun.
That would be super fun.
Or like,
That'd be crazy.
like trying to hit like a glowing golf ball. You have like a glowing golf ball yet? Because you got to be a little classy if you're in the city. Yeah, you can't just be shooting skeet off a building. It's got to be, you know. So.
I guess I'm not that classy.
No, it's like you realize, like, to me, it all comes down to people aren't looking at the entire situation in its entirety.
Just microcosms instead of actual macrocosms.
Right. So it's like when you look at this whole thing and you look at all the different levels as it plays out, whether it be, you know, eating meat or guns or school safety or I don't know, whatever it is. Like, I think there's things that we could come to an agreement on at least at that, you know, intermediate layer.
Right.
Maybe once you get real down to the core of it, we're always going to have
pull head out of ass and look at big picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's a point we can all come to agreement that, you know, what's best here? Do we let the bear population run wild and eat your kid?
Right.
Well, you don't want that, do you?
Exactly.
So we need to control the population, right?
Depends on whose kid it is.
Kind of
kidding.
Yeah.
He's got a point.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's called the Agogi. Let's bring it back. 2023.
I've always had that argument that people that hunt, I mean, of course, there's to make a blanket statement. Most people that hunt care more about animals than people that don't hunt. Even the people that are like, oh, I'll defend an animal till death. Are you going out and like thinning the herd so they're not dying from disease or starvation? No. You're damning those people that are doing the things that are necessary to keep that going along.
You think they just don't understand that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a lack of understanding or, again, back to the whole, this is what the news told me to believe. You know, I don't know.
Well, I think some people too. This is the other end of the spectrum. I think some people hate themselves so much that they want to find something else that's they see as better than them to believe in, instead of bettering themselves,
right,
to be worth their own self-love, for lack of a better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a lot of people out there that I've realized, because I've been one of them, that hate themselves so much they view everything as better.
Yeah.
So like, if I can attach myself to something that I view as better than me, well, then that makes me better.
Right.
Instead of just fixing my fucked upness.
Yourself. Right. Yeah.
And all the while trying to consider everybody else and all the things around me.
Look in the mirror first philosophy.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
yeah. I think there's definitely, going to the hating yourself thing, there's an important part of that I think most successful people, there's a part of them they hate, you know, but I think you have to in order to continually better yourself.
right.
Like Goggins.
The improvement.
Right.
You can't have improvement without acknowledging the lack
issue.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like Goggins would say, you know, he's like, these people go into a gym and they're like, I'm the fucking best. He's like, I'm in there. I'm like, fuck me every day. Like, I hate everything about me. I'm working to constantly improve me. You know, it's and I think that's kind of important that a lot of people don't live that way. They're like, I'm the best and I'm entitled to everything. And that's what I can't stand. I hate that mentality.
Yeah. I just, not to play on semantics here, but do you think it's a hate thing, or do you think the people that truly recognize that it's a weakness kind of thing?
Yeah. I guess a weakness makes more sense. Yeah.
Just because I'm thinking, man, like
I think it's both.
Well,
they probably do actually.
There's probably some hate.
No. And I think there's a distinction though, only because I feel like I see people that hate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I see people that recognize what they would consider a weakness.
Right.
But it's always to better themselves. It's going back to what we've said a couple times, man, that 24-hour clone principle. They're like, every single day, man, you're trying to figure out how to either be physically stronger, mentally stronger, or spiritually stronger, because at the end of that day, you're going to revisit yourself and you need to be a better version of yourself from the past 24 hours.
Right. Right.
So,
or even, I'll even say this. I think if you can't be a better version, maybe it's a different.
nah, dude, I just want to fight myself every 24 hours.
Yeah. Like when you think about, I consider that, you know, we brought up Mike Manchek. Cause there's like, you look at the world of jujitsu and mixed martial arts and like actually the physical confrontation piece of it. Like one person could be better at a certain thing than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But that person might be better at a different thing than that person. So like maybe even just that the diversity of skills, you could end up maybe not being as good at certain things as you were. But if you learn something different, you're able to.
Yeah, but I think if you learn something different, then now you know more than that previous 24-hour clone did.
Right.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
you're still further ahead in either the mental, spiritual, or the physical.
Right. It's a difference. It's learning something new so you can actually combat your old self with something different.
I think you just succeeded right there, though.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it might be something different. Well, it might be in a different form.
It sounded like you meant like, well, you can parallel these and not be better than that next thing. But I think as long as you're learning and progressing, you're further ahead.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I guess that's the whole point was it might not be the same field. It might not be that same category that you're trying to get better in, but it might be a different one. And then you end up through that different category, you end up being able to beat your old self.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
right.
I guess regardless of where your aim was, as long as you hit a target, you're still hitting the target.
Right. That expansion.
Yeah.
Of person.
Makes sense.
I don't know, bro. Speaking of expansion, I need to be schooled on these cigars that you brought us.
Where are those things from, anyways?
Yeah. So what do we got here? We got a
some of those
circuits.
Some of those are from Havana House, and some are from.
No. I mean, like where they actually rolled.
Oh, Nicaragua.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all
that's
Nicaraguan.
what I wondered. So that's Nicaraguan tobacco.
Yep.
Okay. And you said it's pretty strong.
Most of those are pretty strong.
You want to look at them so you can
Yeah.
reference them properly.
So
I'm sorry. Are you guys hearing crackling?
Yeah, there's some snap crackle pops.
Here, let me do this real quick.
Dude, the last time it was like I think 2 weeks ago, man. You cut my beard.
Mhm.
I was like pretty quiet, man, and like not like super cordial. Not
Super
intentionally.
cordial.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, I was like, man. So there was a dude sitting there across from you. and
He's
he
got
was
a
like-
real resting bitch face.
He was
sure.
he was talking a little bit. He was jawing a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, dude, he's interjecting the conversation here. That's cool. And I was like, I feel like I don't want to ask too much because I want a lot of good content for the podcast.
Yeah.
So if it seemed like I was a little more quiet, that's why. I wasn't trying to be
You're good.
standoffish. I knew you didn't take it that way.
No, not at
I knew you
all.
didn't take it that way either.
No.
But I was pretty fucking quiet.
Yeah,
I was
you're
getting my-
good.
Plus, I'm like, if I move, I'm like, my beard might move. Things got a mind of its own.
No, yeah, you were good. You were good.
So cigars. What do we got here that you brought? I really appreciate you got that and a bottle of Eagle Rare you brought. That's going up on the shelf.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So these are all. It's kind of the long-winded version of it is the guy that started Tatuaje married Yanni Garcia of My Father Cigars is a huge brand.
Yep.
So My Father is Yanni and Jaime. Pete Johnson married Yanni. All of his cigars are rolled at the factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. So all of them are rolled at that factory, and they're all like kind of branches off of his main, like Tatuaje's his company. And then there's L'Atelier, which used to be his brother's cigar company. And then there's Surrogates, which is another guy, but they're all rolled at the same factory.
Gotcha. So different
yeah,
variations of the same kind of brands.
similar things, yeah. And
2 girls, 1 cup.
pretty much.
Jesus.
Just kidding.
The thing with My Father Cigars, Tatuaje Cigars, L'Atelier, and Surrogates, all of them are hand touched from seed to end product. There's no machining. There's no anything.
That's a really cool thing to watch.
And a great one of my best friends, Jeremy Troyer, he's been to Nicaragua twice to the farm.
That's cool.
So we're part of, like, once you like kind of get into like the Tatuaje thing, like the whole, it's kind of a club almost.
You're in the club. Yeah.
Once you're in the club, then you get invited to, if you're close with someone, Saints and Sinners is a group that's all about Tatuaje.
Bro, that's Maddie right there.
Yeah, Maddie.
That's
Yeah.
the
That's
bullet
many.
picks of Saints and Sinners I've
Mhm.
got.
Yeah.
They need some Eagle Rare. Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm a part of Saints and Sinners. Once you're in Saints and Sinners, then you're kind of invited. It's kind of if you know who you know kind of thing.
You know,
They take you down to Nicaragua. You're there for, I think, 3 days and 4 nights, something like that. You're on the farm. They show you everything from where they plant the seed to where they harvest to the aging room to the rolling room.
That's cool.
Everything. And you're hanging out with Pete and Yanni and Don Pepin Garcia, who's like the master roller. Like he's like the my father. The father is Don Pepin. So you're hanging out with those guys. You're eating with them. You're drinking rum. Like they're huge rum people. You're drinking rum with them. You're eating with them. All your meals are with them. You're staying on the farm because it's in Esteli, Nicaragua, which is not nice, but on the farm it's nice. But outside of the farm, it's scary, and my buddy's been there twice. So he's like, that's completely sold me, and Pete Johnson and Jaime and all those guys are huge, like with the protecting cigar rights and the CRA, the Cigar Rights of America, like they're big contributors to that. And they're like lobbying and fighting because they're trying to put cigars and cigarettes and vape all in the same thing. And it's not the same thing.
Different products.
Yeah. Where there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, I'm a huge Drew Estate fan or whatever. Well, the guy that's in charge of Drew Estate, he's not going out and doing the things that these guys are doing to try to protect the industry. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I'm just like, for example, I don't know for sure if he is or not, but I'm just saying like, he's not the guy, like these are like the guys that you want to protect. And all these are like Cuban seed Nicaraguan cigars where when Don Pepin left Nicaragua, he took seeds with him, grew them in Nicaragua, and Esteli is like the perfect area. And then within that, there's more perfect zones where there's certain cigars that come out that are even better, And the craziest thing about them is like all 4 of these cigars, if I were to give you one that's a half an inch shorter, it's going to change it'll totally change the flavor. Or if it's a 52 ring gauge instead of a 54, it changes the flavor. Like every little thing makes a massive difference.
I was going to ask, what are our size profiles on those?
Most of these, I think this is a 48. It's a 52. I think that's a 50. Just guessing. I don't remember. This is a 54 for sure. I know that.
What's your favorite size to smoke? Or
I like 54 and above usually, but then there's people that say like the perfect cigar is like a Britannica size, which is a thinner, longer cigar.
No.
But generally, I don't really like thinner cigars. But you could have this same exact cigar in a Britannica, and it will taste completely different than that one tastes. Even though it's exactly the same thing. There's nothing different at all. You could take the same leaves and roll them 2 different sizes.
The physics are different to it.
Totally changes it.
It's so
that's
fucking cool.
kind of like bourbon in the glass.
Exactly.
All those things. I remember
Bourbon,
No
wine.
wonder they pair so well together.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge
Good together, Jesus.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
not skilled at all.
Well, my first and like real like brain breakaway of recognizing how cool cigars are. I'm not a cigar guy.
Mhm.
I like them. But it's one of those things like kind of like you said about golf.
Yeah.
I
Can't get
I
into
don't
it.
have the capacity to get into them because like it's one of those things like whatever. But the very first really, really cool experience I had, my wife and I went down to Punta Cana, and we took a tour of a place because they like that's an area where they do like coffee and cigars and it's a certain type of like I think is it a rum?
Sugarcane.
It might be like some kind of it's like a not a dark brown but not a clear liquor
Okay.
that they
Is it
make down there.
Casacha?
Mezcal?
I don't know.
That would be a tequila. The Casacha would be a sugarcane kind of thing,
Maybe
which is close to a rum.
I would say it's I think I remember it being more of like a rummish in my mind. But like we took this tour of this place where they kind of had like a conglomerate of like all these like kind of local places that they kind of derive all these products from. First thing I remember is as we pulled in there was like armed guards
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because, like you said, like the areas around some of these places,
They're terrible. Yeah.
they're just shitholes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not like shitholes because the people are shit. It's just the economy.
No,
there. It's
yeah.
just
And cartels and everything.
yeah, like
Oh.
it's mind blowing. But we could talk about that for hours. But one of the cool things, like we went to this. They had this giant humidifier room with cigar. You could buy Cubans there, like, and they were like, "Hey, like, these are our shells. These are from this place. These are from that place. These are from this place. And this wall, everything over here are Cuban cigars.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are going back to the States, you're not allowed to take these, but we'll rewrap them for you if you'd like." So I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But they took us to a place where there were, people actually hand rolling the cigars and like all the tobacco. I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then one day when we were out on the resort, there was some people that had come in and were doing it's like a little stand, the tourist thing.
Yeah.
But they were rolling someone was rolling like cigarellos, basically.
Right.
Like the small cigars.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'll give you some money. Like,
Yeah.
they ended up being fucking awesome. I wish I could have bought like 5 packs of them, because I'm like, I'm not like much of a smoker. Like,
Right.
I used to smoke cigarettes like back in my day, like and
Yeah.
smoke when I drank, whatever. Like, and I enjoy a good cigar. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what a good cigar is, but if someone gives me one, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, like you could just tell the difference.
Oh yeah.
When there was like the quality and the craftsmanship was like right there. Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't go to a store, like you go to a store and where we're at and buy something like this. It's like, is this a Swisher Sweet? Like,
Right.
right,
Smokes.
like,
Right.
but like, it was something, it's one of those things, like there's something there that when you really dig down into it and
Mhm.
get into the depths of it, it's like, okay, now I get why this is a thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, man. So like pre-COVID,
Mhm.
the smell, the taste was better here. I could
Me too,
sit
really.
down and you can ask Phil Olson this, man. He would blind me, and I could go, yeah, I can taste like that profile. I can taste like what's heavy on the mash bill there, and dude, I could predict if I was like, oh, this is the Russells, like, dude, this is a corn heavy, it's a Heaven Hill. If you hit me with some Buffalo Trace, mash bill 1 versus mash bill 2, I could do that. Can you do that with cigars? Or like, can people do that with cigars
yeah.
so much that their palate is that refined?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I was lucky in the fact that I met Jeremy and like Jamie Grazer, and
Yeah.
they kind of showed me kind of the way. Like, don't waste your time messing with these cheap cigars and
Yeah.
messing with this and messing with that. Not that these are crazy expensive, because they're relatively reasonable.
But
But you can definitely tell.
So how did you learn notes, or how did you learn taste? Was that something individually? Was that something
Yeah.
where other people smoked it and you listened to some of the things that they said?
Yeah, and then
you
you're like,
experienced
oh,
it for yourself?
I kind of picked that up here
Okay.
and there. Yeah.
Okay. How long did that take?
It took a little while.
Like,
it took
we're talking 6 months, a year, 2 years,
probably
3
6
years?
months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like how often would you smoke to be able to pick those characteristics up?
Every week for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
every
one
week.
a week, or like
Probably 2-3 a week.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I still, like, and I hate to say this because a lot of people are super generous and they'll bring me cigars.
sure.
But it's like someone bringing you a bottle of like Evan Williams when you're used to drinking Eagle Rare. Like, I don't dislike it
Yeah.
necessarily, but
But
I'm
you-
not going to
yeah,
choose it.
Your
This is my
palate
this is
likes
my
what
palate.
you like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So generally, I just stick with these. I'll venture out every once in a while, but I've been lucky enough to have some cigars that were $50 a cigar,
Okay.
and they're great. But I would still pick 5 of these at $10
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
that
I feel
$50
that.
cigar. You know what I mean? And it's just because I figured out like this is what I like, and I would try some stuff, and then I would just go back to Tatuaje, and I'm like, man, there's just something about these. There's something I'm picking up that I really, really like that you don't get in these cigars.
Do you think it's only what you get from those cigars, or do you think it's also that there's like a traditionalist from those cigars as well as the flavor too that ties in? You're like, dude, I really respect what they're doing. Too.
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Because there's a ton of cigars from Esteli, Nicaragua. If you
Yeah.
go and look, like, oh, these are from Esteli, they're probably the same as these.
Mhm.
No. They're massively different, which is weird. But once you start, like, they just released the Tuxtla brand, which is from their Mexican San Andreas wrapper. from Tuxtla, Mexico.
Okay.
So they just named it Tuxtla because of like the nod to Mexico.
Geography, yeah.
It's the same exact as this cigar, but it's a San Andreas wrapper. Completely changes everything.
Gotcha.
So like every little like nuance makes
the variable,
massive difference. Yeah.
Each variable changes.
Mm-hmm. It's
that's the same thing with bourbon, man.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, I was thinking about that as you guys are talking, looking at this unopened small batch Willet in front of me. And
Fucking hammer on, bro.
Well, I was thinking like, well, you know what?
Don't leave old girl out there in the in the rain.
Well, what I was thinking was like, if Josh Snyder was here,
it would be half gone.
That thing would be already opened.
That's his darling.
Like, and I like it. It's good.
It's dessert though.
Yeah,
but
really? But at the same time,
you
like,
got that?
No.
You cracked them apart right now.
Oh, looks like we'll have to. Looks like we'll have to
just
open it up.
Just a scotch.
Yep. Go ahead and open it. I'll finish this off. But
it's a dessert, so it's very fruity, very
really. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the idea.
It's a rye though. So
oh, it's a rye too, huh? Well, I guess it's
it's only 4 year.
Okay.
But I was thinking about that, and it was like, well, out of all of these, I know which one that particular person would go for.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, if there's one thing where I'm like, all right, I know I'll enjoy something, I'm going to go for something completely different. And the person that would like that bottle,
you go first.
You first, my man.
like the person that would like that particular bottle might look at the bottle that I want and go, ugh, really? You're going for that one? And I would do the same. So it's like these individual things that like, oh, like it's really neat that each person can find like what you like about something, the story, and the more complex it gets. And
people either love it or hate it.
Was that Callie Mae?
So dichotomous, people either love it or hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And then there's people that are just like, you know, they're hardcore brand loyal type people, which I am. I mean, to be fair, I am a lot of the time with Tatuaje.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Yeah, but I feel like you'd still branch out and try as many things as you could to see if there's something else that like you enjoyed and the heritage you could get behind.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I had someone bring me a couple, like I mentioned earlier, the same guy that brought me 2 cigars that he had that day. I know I kind of got him into Tat, and he's a big Tatuaje fan. We just call it Tat. It's easier. But he's like, but I tried these, and they were pretty good. And the one brand I knew for sure I wasn't going to like. And the other one I was on the fence about. The other one I liked, but the one he brought me that I knew I wasn't going to like, I had actually last night, I had about a third of it, and I was like, I'm good. I know I don't like it. Like immediately I just knew. But the other one was surprisingly good. So it's just, you kind of branch out a little bit because you don't want to be like you don't want to be a prick about it. But at the same time, like I know what I like, so I'm going to stick to what I like.
True. Well, that's part of the whole thing. It's like, you know what you like, but you can categorize and why you like it.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, I'll try something else. But it's that the openness of, all right, well, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And to me, it's even, this is the fascinating thing to me. And what I really respect is when people know what they like and they know why they know they like it, and they can explain why they like it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I fucking hate it. All right, why do you like this?
You still appreciate.
Yeah, I can
the
appreciate
description,
like the
like
description and the story and the understanding of like, all right, because everyone's taste buds are different, everyone's feelings and ideas and all these things are different. So like, all right, well, why do you like it? And there's like, well, because this is just the best brand.
Right.
What?
No.
Like, no, that's not a reason.
Right.
But like, if you can go into, well, the story you just told us, like, fucking sold.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'll try to like them.
Yeah.
I'll try to like them.
Cigar smoker, and I'm like, yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
I want to invest.
That's the
Are you
thing.
gonna invest in?
Are you good? So, are you going to invest? Yeah, like
Right.
I don't know if I'll like them. Like I found cigars that I like, but I can guarantee you after that story, I'm going to try to appreciate those cigars and understand why you like them.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, now like all those, like if someone's not putting all those pieces together at the same time, then I don't know if we can have a good conversation.
Dude, you kind of took us on a mystical journey there, man. Just kind of like the business that you run. Honestly, like, dude, you're giving people an experience.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, you're coming in, you're gonna get your beard trimmed, you're gonna get your, your hair cut. But like, dude, there's something different there, man. Like, they're gonna talk to you. They're gonna get to experience someone that's like pretty fucking cool. You're gonna see good bourbon.
Yeah.
And like, dude, there's something that like, there's some meat that you get to chew on that you're left with, and you're like, oh, that was, like maybe there's other barber shops, but like, dude, that was something cool. That was something a little bit different.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, first of all. But second of all, one of my instructors, an old Italian guy, super, super cool guy. He's like, it doesn't really matter how well you cut hair. It's like people come to see you.
Yeah, as long
He's
as
like, and if you're like, as long as you're not like butchering them. A lot of people are just like, whatever. Like it wasn't the perfect, which of course I'm not striving to be that, but it's more like you go to that person because you like that person.
Yeah. What'd you leave them with, man?
Yeah.
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 It's a big
so
thing.
and that's why I try to think of that, because I mean, just like anybody, there's tons of times I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I don't feel like talking to anybody. Like if I had like a regular 9-to-5 cubicle job, I would phone it in, but you kind of can't. Like you kind of have to be not on, but you kind of have to be like engaging and whatever and talk to people. And even if you tell the same story, which I'm sure my coworkers can attest to, I know my coworkers, I tell the same kind of like what's going. Like I recently had a dermatology appointment that was great, but it was embarrassing as hell because I've never been in a situation like that. I've told the same story like 25 times over the last 2 days.
Right.
So you kind of like you have like kind of go-to things, the typical fluff, what do you got going on this weekend, whatever. But inside a lot of times I was like, I just want to go home, like I don't want to talk to anybody today, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of part of that thing. You kind of have to build those relationships to maintain. And at the end of the day, I enjoy talking to people. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I enjoy making a difference, and like, even if it's something as simple as a haircut, like there's so many people like, oh, I feel like a new man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
And you're leaving them with more confidence, and it doesn't really cost you anything. Like a lot of the time, guys that come to me a lot, or not even a lot, but I have a guy, for example, that I cut when I was at Helms, and I think I cut him twice, and then he came in for his wedding, and I cut him for his wedding.
Ooh.
And I'm like, you're good, man. Like you don't have to pay me. He's like, no, I gotta pay you. I'm like, it's your wedding, dude. You got other things to care. Like, this is my wedding gift to you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Gratis.
That dude moved to Youngstown, and he drives from Youngstown to my shop now to get his haircut.
Legit.
And he's like, I'll never forget that, and I will come to you no matter how far. Which is like, I'm like, dude, I get it. I appreciate it. But like, that's a long drive. Like you're passing hundreds of barbers on the way. He's like, I don't care. And that's the kind of thing I try to do. Like one time I had a guy that was, had to bury his grandson, and it was horrible. It was the toughest haircut I ever got through, like by far. I'm sure it was his toughest haircut. And at the end, I'm like, no, like I cannot accept money from you. Like this is the least I can do for what you're going through.
How old was his grandson?
Teens, maybe. Yeah. And he was bawling like the whole haircut. It was super emotional. It was terrible. And
so you are like full-time therapist,
yeah,
part-time hair.
Yeah. Thank God those are few and far between. But he's like telling me stories, and he's like, I didn't believe him, and it was like an accidental death kind of situation. I don't know exactly the whole story, but he's like, I didn't believe in his blame. I'm like, dude, that's not your fault. Like, you can't blame yourself. Like that whole thing.
Dude, that's crazy though, bro. Like that was probably cathartic for him,
right?
And then, dude, like your responses and those things, like probably like help him heal some and help him like get that shit out into the atmosphere and like and heal himself. So.
Right. And that's kind of the thing, like it's legit. Like you're a counselor a lot of the times, or and I think, not to say that I'm a special person, but I think it takes a special kind of person to be able to deal with that.
You
kind
can
of
say
thing.
you're a special person. It does, man. Like not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to be modest here, but like, dude, there's a lot of people that. I mean, listening is an art, which obviously you can do and very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of times, like with my wife, she'll say certain things, and I'm like, that didn't make sense. And it's like kind of proving that I'm listening to what she's saying, even though a lot of times I'm like half listening. You're still listening to what she's saying, and there's tons of people that they're just like, okay, yeah, sure.
Bro, does your wife ever say, "I wish you didn't listen so much"?
No,
I don't
No.
think any wife has ever said
No.
that ever at any point in time through history.
there has been, since I've been a barber, kind of like a 20-minute grace period of when I get home to where I need to decompress.
Don't talk
like
to me,
I
don't
just
come around me.
kind of need a few minutes.
I think
And
that's-
like she'll ask me. It happened today. This morning, she's like, "What about this, this, this?" I'm like, "Babe, you
20
just
minutes.
asked me
700
5 questions
yeah.
in 30 seconds." I'm like, I need a couple of seconds here.
Decompress, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think we take a lot of information in. Right?
Yeah.
Especially someone like I can't imagine being in a position where you are listening to these people's like intense,
Deepest, darkest.
yeah, these
Yeah.
intense moments in such a small amount of time period over and over and over throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, this what we do here, it's exhausting.
Mhm.
So I give you massive props for being able to do that and being gracious.
Yeah.
And you've obviously built up, that people infrastructure, essentially,
Right.
people that come back to you. And that's, to me, I think that's, it's really telling to the type of person you are.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, you should, it's hard. I think it's like a hard balance, of trying to not be too like self-inflated.
Right.
But-
oh yeah. It's
Yeah, I'm not worried about that with you.
Yeah.
But what I would say is sometimes maybe if you're sitting alone drinking a bourbon, having a cigar, recognize like what you do for people.
Yeah.
And that's
Or
there's
don't
nothing,
just keep doing it.
All I'm saying is it's okay
Yeah.
in those little quiet moments to go
I agree with
to
that.
take a
man.
deep breath and go, I'm doing something good here.
Right.
Yeah. I feel
Even if it's not, it's just encouragement to keep doing it.
yeah.
Because
Right.
people need people like you.
Right.
Yeah.
I need people like you.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the reasons I got so into cigars is because that guarantees me usually from what I smoke an hour to an hour and a half of just
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah.
So,
Where I can listen to music, or I can listen to a podcast, or I can just not listen to anything. I could just kind of decompress. And that's one of the big things with that. And, like a lot of people like huge drinkers. Like there's a huge problem with barbers with addiction, alcoholism, stuff like that. That's a huge, huge, huge issue. And that was kind of like one of the things where I'm like, okay, I can do this and not feel like crap the next day. One of those kind of things.
Right.
So, and it helped a lot. So that's kind of how I got into it so much.
Yeah, I think it's a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you balance out all the things that you're trying to do and trying to achieve and with trying to absorb?
Yeah.
You know,
And being a barber, you see not just like in my chair, but everybody else's chair. You see like 100 people a day, every day, roughly, give or take. So like when I like go out to the Paul's Brewery, I go to Jaffby or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know like 35 people in there,
Right.
which is great. And I want to talk to those people, but I've literally talked to people all day. So sometimes you're just like, cool, like I'll say what's up or whatever. Like I'm not going to be a jerk just because that's just not my nature. But sometimes you just want to have a beer.
You can't talk
just
to
hang
all
out
the
with my
people all the
wife.
time.
I like hanging out with her more than anybody. That's why we're married.
Well, that's good. That's
You know what I
awesome.
mean? So,
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just want to chill with her, and thankfully she's understanding. And because people are always pulling me away all the time. Not that I'm some celebrity or anything like that, but it's just I see so many people that I'm recognized easily, and I'm not like I don't blend in very well with people. So
You're not a very blendy in.
No. No.
Well, it is. You don't realize. I think sometimes we forget. I think we talked about this at some point. I know we talked about it with the musicians and the celebrity type status. Where like you don't necessarily have to be a giant celebrity
Mm-hmm.
in order for your, I guess, like the public knowing who you are and people your recognition.
Right.
Maybe that's the word I'm looking for.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be a celebrity to be recognized.
Right.
And to be recognized in your daily life, most people don't go through that.
Yeah. That's kind of
most
weird.
people, it's super weird. Like, most people don't go to the grocery store and have a concern about, all right, how many times are people going to recognize me and try to take up a moment of my day?
Yeah.
Like, when I go to the grocery store, like, usually I literally think about, all right, what's the best time to go to the grocery store? 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, it's not open then. So, like,
for me, bro, it's 60% of the time, every time.
yeah. So, like, it's like a Thursday morning at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with people.
Yeah.
Just the volume alone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in order to, like, go out, like, and have a dinner with your wife, or go out with your friends, or, like, go to the grocery store and, like, not have to worry about people stopping you.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think that sounds cool.
Yeah.
But then when it becomes to the point where it's like, I'm just trying to fucking eat dinner with my wife and family. Like,
right.
Can you just give me a moment of
that's
peace and quiet? Like,
I mean, we go out of town a lot. My wife's from Cleveland, so we go to Cleveland a lot. And it's like, I know I can go in here, and not that I don't go out in Worcester, and not that I hate seeing people or anything like that.
No, for sure.
But, like, I'm pretty positive I'm going to go to Cleveland where there's 250,000 people that I don't know.
Right.
I can just eat dinner and it's totally cool. Like, it's fine. And I don't know. It's peaceful in that way.
It's cool to, this is just me assuming at this point. It's cool that people appreciate who you are and what you do. But sometimes I just want to eat dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't want to put it out there like, that I don't like talking, because I do.
Right. No, I'm just trying to help you out here, bro.
Yeah.
I'd say there's a time and a place, so man. Like, you need your own time, so that, like, dude, you can enjoy your wife, you can enjoy dinner, like, dude, you can just shut shit off.
Yeah.
I will say though, man, I was thinking about this earlier, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it's pretty damn cool what you do, man. And, like, I think about some of the stuff that I do, and, like, I see like 25 patients a day, man, and I just hear about the shit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it is like the shit of their lives.
Yeah.
And, dude, trying to encourage them, and that's pretty cool, man, that, like, you get the opportunity to try and, like, encourage those people and pour back into those people. And, like, I think all that makes a difference, man. Like, that's a level of energy that's put back out there into the atmosphere. And appreciate what you do, man.
Yeah. And maybe this is it. While they go to see you, that's the time.
Yeah.
If you see Max out at dinner or at the bar, it's great to say, "Hey, Max,"
and fuck off.
Yeah.
let him be.
Let me buy you a drink.
Yeah.
Send it over to that guy.
Come get your beard trimmed. Come get your hair trimmed.
Come get your soul trimmed.
Right.
There you go.
Let it
I
out.
like that.
Yeah. But, respect people.
Yeah. And for the most part, people do. But there's times where I'm like,
bro, you're just too popular.
Yeah. Like, we're having a ton of conversation. My wife's sitting here, like, looking off and nothing. Yeah. Which, again, like, I appreciate. But at the same time, like, I want to hang out with her, like.
Yeah.
We don't see each other as much as I see everyone else,
Yeah, that whole work-family relationship. Max, we'll let you go, or at least stop the recording thing here. Yeah, because it's been over 4 hours now that you've been.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Could be a divided episode.
Yeah,
I really appreciate the conversation and the insight to all the things, particularly the bourbon and cigars. I'll have to give you some feedback. I'll have to.
They're a little strong, but there's a lot of flavor there.
Sounds like my kind of deal. And we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah,
awesome.
Let's do it.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember, check out the website chronic-curiosity.com to join us at the forum, have some fun, interaction, pick you up a comfy t-shirt, or if you just want to support the show and donate, all that is on the website as well. Thank you. Until next time. See you.